to an age when thought is free, from the age of Big Brother, from the age of the thought police, from a dead man. Greetings.
Like, what's happening is they're basically doing this rap battle, and they're like getting in each other's faces, and it's getting quite heated, right?
Yeah.
And the dude says, "Oh, get any closer and I'll kiss you." And then the other guy was like, "I'm not scared." And so they just start like making out like violently, bro. And so I tell my friend, I'm like, this is a very strange high school play.
Yeah,
yeah.
what the heck? That was dude, you know what that reminds me of is in Africa, especially South Africa, they like when they catch you as a thief, there's a certain mob justice that will catch you, right? And now and again you have thieves. They'll even turn it into a little party, like, yo guys, check it out, man, I caught a thief. And they're like, oh, really? Really? Oh man. And then they come over, then they have a little bride.
What, they got American accents?
No, but this is obviously just me. And I'm not trying to be American. It's just, I don't know. The Americans taught me English in Berlin, so whatever. It's never going to leave, I think. But yeah, so you have these videos. It's on Facebook and even Instagram, I think. And there's this one where they caught, I think, about 6 thieves or something. And so they had them paired up. They get so creative. They had them paired up in twos. And they had like shambok in the one hand and like, make out right now, make out. And so
Really?
Yeah, and like most of them were just like, peck, and they're like, hey, kiss him. And then they go from one...
While they're whipping him.
Yeah, like with a threat of whipping. And they're like going from the one, quote, couple, right? These guys are being forced to kiss, to the second and to the third. And this third group, bro, they were just going at it, bro. People even like, yo, are they doing that because they're being forced to? Or like... There's full on tongue and everything there, bro. They're just like
they're not even the thieves that got caught. They're just 2 guys who's like, here's our chance.
And they'll make them dance as well.
Where did these guys come from? But it's the same thing that I saw with these gangsters video where basically they had this guy in like a hockey, dude. And a
hockey,
he had this long dildo like this. And then like they were forcing him to basically sit on it. And like the one guy had a gun, and the other guy was like saying, "Oh, you're making fun of like the 28s or something like that." One of these gangs.
Yeah.
He's like, "Now sit.
No, sit, the dildo.
Yeah, like he had to, and then like it kept just like moving around, dude. It was this huge thing, bro. And like then he would like, you'd just be sitting there, and he would be saying like, "Oh, I'm sorry," and then like the guy would just give him an open smack, and he's like, "No, you're gonna sit," and then threatening him with the gun.
Dude. In Africa, you don't want to be a thief, Buta. You don't want to be a thief.
But you reminded me of something. I don't want to forget it. About like, it's basically called necklacing.
Oh.
And it is very extreme. Now, they normally do it to people who like grape, I know they've done it to some thieves, but normally those thieves are like drug addicts, like guys who are just completely
no, they're
messed up.
I think it's usually if they don't just say drug addicts, they have to be very extreme. I mean, you remember that?
No, I'm saying like where like the brain has crystallized already from the drugs, where there's no like reform.
Oh, there's
like,
no possibility.
The guy is just like seriously like a serial thief who can't stop going and robbing the people and then selling it for, what was that one drug now? It was very bad where they were smoking the
Nyaupe. No, not
the
Nyaupe.
ARVs.
Yeah, it was called Nyaupe or
It's something like that. Nyape
yeah,
or
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
Anyway,
can't think of the. But anyways, yeah. So that's what they were doing. Like you would smoke the antiretrovirals with like some swazi, some real cheap like bushweed and tobacco, and it made these people go crazy, dude. Like they were like, and obviously you don't know if it's propaganda because of like we're talking about carte blanche, which was this like show that kind of uncovered certain issues, and they would send hidden cameras, those types of people, and they were saying, oh, you only take one smoke of the nyape and you immediately become like a psychopath and a killer. And like they were saying something about, some very high number where it was something around 90% of the people would go and just kill their entire family.
I
It
think
would just
that's
drive them insane. But
I
I
think it's a
was like,
forced
huh,
statistic. I think that's a forced
I don't know if
statistic.
that's real.
Um, but anyway, necklacing. Don't forget
Why would
your.
that drug make you do that? But anyways, the point is that in terms of these what's called necklacing is where they put a tire over your head, like petrol, and then they set it on fire. Those are really rough.
Mm,
That's
mm,
when you hear how someone, and it's a very interesting sound because a human being, like there's a certain pitch of screaming that they get to where it starts to sound like pigs, you know, like
mm.
like
Your mic is just completely
you
blocking that out. It's trippy, but I know
it,
what
did
you
it
mean.
block it? Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
No,
obviously
but
like
maybe if
that's a
I do it from a
background.
distance, like no, I can't.
Still, your
Like
mic
it's
has still got it.
I can't. Yeah, I can't do it. Look, why?
Yeah,
You just look up any person, go look and listen to how pigs squeal. Now
yeah.
imagine a human being screaming so much because of the flames that
The pain, brother.
that's the like his voice literally turns into a pig squealing. Uh,
Yeah, it's
and that's
air.
what
You
they
don't want to,
do.
bro. Tires. Listen, buddy. You don't want rubber melting on you like that. Have you ever been burned by plastic? Like just a normal plastic bag. You burn it and it like touches it melts on your skin. Yes. And now imagine a tire, bro. And that the fumes of the tire, dude. Nah, you don't. It's a very, very cruel way. I would just say, you know what? Just shoot the person. Like be kind. Like just shoot the guy. I think they would also
But
appreciate
what
it.
they're doing, right? Because, and this is obviously like quite graphic, but there's would be like infants that were sort of raped by
Yeah,
these
no, that
guys.
necklace him straight. In if
No, so exactly. So now all of a sudden you want him to be burned. But
no, I
it's
have no
because
mercy
there
for
was
those
like
people.
some Sangoma witch doctor who basically said like to cure AIDS,
Mm.
uh, you must be with a virgin essentially. And so in their minds, that was the easiest way to get that. Uh,
Bro, bro,
and
it's
it was happening a lot, dude. And it also shows you like the danger of this type of false information from some crazed person
of course, bro. It's
in some
religious.
like hut somewhere.
It's now I need to be careful. Not careful, but I want to be very precise how to phrase this. You can't say that it's only. I mean, of course, the first instinct for many people, especially those who've lived in South Africa is to say something along the lines of, yeah, that's the Zulu or the Xhosa or the African mindset, but it isn't. You find it everywhere in the world. You find it everywhere in the world. I mean, there's plenty of cults in the West and in Asia. Our sponsor brought to you today. You know, there's plenty
Plenty
of
of
cults,
cultures, yeah. Like even the rhino horn thing in Asia.
right? You know what I mean? Like there's no scientific validation of that, but they still do it anyway. And right, like what the heck? And
Or
so it's not
even
just
like another example would be like South America. They've also got those crazy like brujas who tell them a bunch of weird things that they have to do
yeah,
because there's like a family curse or something.
yeah, eat this person's heart or do some crazy ish like that. And so it's really just ignorance combined with fanaticism, you know. Yeah, it's really ignorance because lack of education as well. I mean,
You must have the blood of a virgin
like think about that.
and you're cured.
I'm
It's
really trying to
like, no,
decide
you're
how
not.
deep. I'm really trying to decide how much I can share here, but there's
Just say it, dude.
these crazy stories. People will. Okay, I have this friend. Actually,
Oh boy.
I was quite close with the whole family. Um, they're from Zimbabwe. And they're living in Botswana. And he was describing how the father, no, sorry, the mother was describing how the mother is Indebele. Indebele is a certain tribe in Zimbabwe and South Africa, like parts of South Africa, and the father was Shona, and the mother had a story where her father, basically, the parents had another brother, an older brother, a sibling of theirs, but he was kept in like the basement and like chained up
Retarded or
like an
something.
animal. He was chained up like an animal, long nails and like that white
Oh
ashy
boy.
skin and like an animal, bro, like a beast of the field, like Nebuchadnezzar in the
Bent
Bible kind of
over.
thing, like all like yeah, and apparently it had something to do with somehow acquiring some wealth. You know what I mean? Like somehow if you sacrifice, quote unquote, this child in this way, then you'll have wealth. Um, I don't know how much wealth they were
And were
promised
they
because I mean,
wealthy?
dude, that's the thing, right? Like, yeah, I don't see you on the Forbes list or anything, so I don't know. Was it worth it? Like,
Dude, so
did you?
this is what I'm saying. It's like, like, what stories are they just pushing out? Because maybe, like they had this family member, they didn't know how to take care of him, and then some witch doctor was like, "Oh, by the way, it's a magical person, but it
Mm,
must be kept in a certain way, in the dark, where no one can see them, for the
mm.
powers to be, something like that." I don't know. It's my
Not
thing
wrong.
is like the proof is in the pudding. Did he have a Rolls Royce? Did he have a private jet? Is he rich? Are they
But do
wealthy?
remember, do
Where's
try to
like a
remember
big
that.
scandal?
But do try to remember that wealth is relative, right? So maybe in their minds, having lots of cattle.
But my question is, because only you know this, did they have those things? Could you say, even let's say if we're using it under the lens of Botswana, were they wealthy in Botswana
No, 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 no.
with the
In Zim,
cattle?
I
Like,
would
oh,
say
you have
that
1,000 cattle on 1,000 hills,
I would say that in their probably in their village in Zimbabwe, rural Zimbabwe, they were rich, right? Not by Botswana standards, but Botswana has its own stories where people, but I don't know how much of this is real or not, because there's always tall tales flying around. But like, you do have several stories of people. They'll go to a sangoma, maybe in South Africa or something, and they'll get a short boy being a tokolosh, right? And this tokolosh
We
is this
spoke about
those
this
things
on
we've
like one
spoken
of the
about this
other
before,
episodes. Yeah.
right? These small, let's call them gnome, these small black figures of gnome stature, obviously paranormal beings. And they'll also be told that, look, you take this home. They'll be given it like in the form of a plant or a seed or something, some object, right? And this thing will just like, they'll be told
A cursed
either
object.
exactly, and that's where it is inside. Take this home. And they'll be told that from now on, every day, just open up your wallet. There'll be like 20,000 Rand inside. So every day,
20,000 Rand in your wallet. That's
yes,
a big wallet. But I know
no, but
what
it's
you're
not that
saying.
much. Let's be honest. Like I've seen
Yeah, I
that
know. It's
easy.
probably
Like
like that wad.
if it's 200s, it's not even. Yeah, it's. You'll be
No,
amazed.
no,
Like
but I mean, because
I
I was
dialed 100.
counting like 15 in 200s, and it was. I remember I couldn't put it in my wallet, so I'm just thinking like it's bulky. I'm obviously just being stupid, but it's quite bulky,
Yeah,
you
but
know.
they will easily have that. Like
And it would
okay,
be a nice find every morning, you know.
yeah, but but there's rules. Like you basically can't get married sometimes. Sometimes they'll say, this is now your basically your husband or your
Your
wife in
wife.
a way. So whenever you try to get a partner, a woman to come stay over or something, that person will just get clapped, like be attacked, you know?
Like smacked.
Yeah, smacked. They don't want you to have someone else. So um I don't know, there's a lot to unpack there. I mean, we could do a whole yes, bro, we could talk for ages about this stuff. I mean, and as you know, I don't know if you go to like central Johannesburg, you'll see those flyers everywhere. You'll even see the adverts in the newspaper. Short boys, 5,000 or 10,000 or 20,000 in your wallet every
Penis
day.
enlargement.
Penis enlargement, of course, is always there, and all these things. And
But here's the thing. I'll only say it once you've finished, because I'm not sure if I've told this story before, but I'm gonna say it anyways because
said,
it's kind of the same in terms of supernatural. So can I tell it, or do you still have more to add there?
add your part. I've got more. You know me. I've got a bottomless well of stories. You go ahead.
No, because it's okay. I'll
Just
tell
tell
it
the
anyways,
story,
and
Mikey.
I feel like I told the story before, but I guess that's just gonna happen. I'm gonna probably tell the same story 1,000 times. But remember when I told you about how there was this? It's like a tent. Those revival tents, like Christian revival tents, essentially.
Yeah, it's too hot.
And
It's in the dust, kind of.
yeah, and like they basically almost like a traveling caravan, you know.
Mhm.
So there's this one guy. He went to this one place in Cape Town. It's like a colored community, and he was there for like a week or two or something, and the place was filling up, right? People were saying, "Oh, I was delivered from my drug addiction or whatever it was," and then it spreads word of mouth, and these gangsters went to the pastor, and so I can't remember the exact days, but he was doing something like a Wednesday morning thing, and then he was doing like a Friday night, and then he was doing the Sunday service, right? And I think it was on the Wednesday these gangsters approached him, and they told him, "This thing, you're gone. By Friday, we don't want to see you here. You pack up this tent and you're going." Which I always find is interesting because, like, gangsters to me always seem to have this quality of like being Satanists or something. You know,
Yeah.
there's a lot of like ritualistic aspects to a lot of the gangsterism, especially here in South Africa. Just even some of the words that they use, it seems like a lot of spell casting. But so they warned him, and then Friday came along, and the place was packed out,
Yeah.
and they were like, you know, praising, doing the whole thing, and outside they heard gunshots, you know, fired into the air, obviously, and these guys were there now, four of them, and the dude who like basically warned him, he came walking in through like this, you know,
Yeah.
and you know, the shoulders jucking, you know, like that smile on the face, walking down that aisle, dude, because they got the plastic chairs all down the sides, and then they have the aisle down the center, and like the pastor he was standing there, and then this guy, like the gun was here, and so other guys stood up, and the pastor went like that, like he put his hand up to tell them no, like don't get involved, right? And like this guy had this like smile on his face, and he goes and he grabs his gun, and he like as he pulls it out like that, the gun goes flying. He gets completely bent over, right? So imagine if you get down on the ground on your knees, right? And then you bend all the way backwards, where your back is literally arched and your face is now touching the ground. Your knees are touching the ground like this, and your face is face planted on the ground. And like you arched like that. And he was busy jucking and jiving there. Boop, boop, boop. And the whole place was just erupting in like praise, dude. And this guy was like jucking and jiving up and down like that. Um, and outside they heard screaming. And when they like people ran out, these guys were busy, dude, they were stripping off their clothes and they were screaming like my foot brand, my foot brand, like screaming like their feet is burning,
Yeah.
and like ripping off their clothes, and like they were just like spraying shit basically out their assholes, like all
What?
around on the floor. Yeah, like
Okay,
um
I would. Okay, okay, okay.
so what I'm saying is like you hear about supernatural things, like, so you have to ask like what is real, what isn't real, where does it work, where doesn't it work? That's basically
You
what I'm
know who I
saying.
would love to actually talk to? Ah, man, it's such a pity that he's dead. Is Credo Mutwa.
Oh,
I would
Greedo.
have, dude, I'm telling you right now. I mean, um, because here's the thing, right? It's not only about the fact that, like, ooh, Africa, the dark continent, but it's more than that. Yeah, yeah, because I
The
mean, that's
dark
how people
art.
like to see it, like, right? In the hearts of Africa, the dark continent, there's no electricity. That's not it. The point is that Africa is old for human beings, especially in that sense. I mean, the whole earth is old, obviously, but like, um, in terms of the roots of human beings, of the modern man, are within Africa. And that's also what, by the way, why I think that a lot of the most significant archaeological sites in Africa, they haven't even been discovered. And of those that have been discovered, they're not being seriously discussed. I don't know what their agenda is. I don't want to say it's racialism. I don't want to say it's this underestimation of what it is, but I've spoken to you about this before. I mean, what is the beginning of civilization? We have this idea that only if you see castles and streets, then we have civilization. But, writing systems can be different. It doesn't always have to be A, B, C, D, or whatever. And as modern human beings, we often make the mistake of trying to project our current way of thinking or metrics onto the past, right? And then saying that's what it would have been. That's how it should have
Yeah.
been. And that's what we're looking for. But it can't be that way. Then combine with that the fact that this Bondini, this Italian scientist,
Bondini, who's
I think
that guy from Rogan.
who was on Rogan. Let's not say from Rogan. He was
Yeah.
on Rogan.
Yeah.
Who used that
With a deep accent.
yes, with a deep accent, who really who used that a form of lidar basically from space to detect tiny micro movements subterranean structures. And he found like that, and they've tested it with different things. They tested it with CERN to see, can they see certain structures within CERN, which CERN, by the way, in Switzerland, right? That particle
With the
collider.
Hadron Collider.
Exactly. And they tested it there. It was successful. They've tested it with many other subterranean structures. And then they did it with the pyramids. And they found that, look, there's definitely some kind of structures underneath the pyramids of Giza. And if that were to be true, then it would drastically push back the timeline of the pyramids. And at some point, if you push it far back enough, you get to a point where the Sahara Desert wasn't even a desert, right? Like it was a savanna. And what does that mean for all of Africa? I mean, Egypt literally sits at the gateway out of Africa or into Africa, depending on how you see it. And it means that, basically what I'm trying to say is people didn't just stand up and say, oh, I am a modern man, and then say we got to get out of Africa and immediately walk out. No, they built little settlements, and the settlements grew, and they must have come to a point where they realized that, oh, you know what, this land cannot sustain us sustainably, right? We cannot all live here, so some of you are going to have to leave here, and that's what started causing these migrations out of the heart of Africa into other parts of Africa, and then eventually up to the Nile Basin, and then from there into the rest of the world. And that's the beginning of the journey of Homo sapiens out of Africa. But what I'm trying to say is, I wouldn't be surprised, and no one should be surprised, that there are very ancient things in Africa, things that we simply don't understand and maybe haven't even thought to look for. Does that any of what I'm saying make sense? Like, it's a very
like
branched out idea. I'm trying to.
This is what comes to my mind. They keep pushing back. What's it? AMH, right? Anatomic modern day human being. And they keep pushing it back further and further over the years. And I think now, dude, they're even up to like something like 850,000 years. And some people are even saying to 1 million. Now, really just like think about that, grasp that. So, I mean, we talk about 2,000 years. Even if we think about something like 5,000 years in our brains, you can't even comprehend how much happened in that time, right? Just like we can't even think about, other than the history books, what happened in the year 1000. It's completely different. Now, if it's our type of human being, and now you're saying 850,000 years backwards, and they've been in Africa, or at least they started in Africa. You don't know anything. If that 850 or whatever that number is true, let's just say it's 100,000. What the old one was like 250,000. Let's use that one.
Hmm.
Dude, how much would have taken place and been lost?
Of course. No, I mean that's the thing,
Like
right?
we can't think that. And I just want to wrap on this part. We can't think that they didn't have some type of technology, or the technology we think of today couldn't have been then as well, or have been used before. And we just have to look at the pyramids. There's your clue, right? That there could have been something even before the pyramids.
Yeah, they must have been. No one just shows up. Dude, no one just suddenly shows up and is like, ooh, agriculture. And then a year later is like, you know what we should do now? We should embark on a massive national project like building the pyramids. It doesn't work that way. You're talking about civilization that has been already present for at least centuries, right? Centuries at least before someone comes.
Well,
I mean,
millennia, let's be
yeah,
honest.
think
Like, even
about
if
the
it's 2 or 3,
yeah,
it's
think about the level of think about how many years Rome had to be around, even when it was just a village and then a town and then it became a city, before they were like, hey, let's build our first major structure like the Colosseum, or even before that, like a palace, or a temple or something like that. It has to be around for a while. And the pyramids, when compared to the Colosseum or any temple,
no comparison,
dude,
dude.
and then three of them, right?
Look,
It's
let's be honest. We get caught on the pyramids, but if you look at those other structures of like the pharaohs, holding
the
their things,
temples
those
and them, yeah,
huge. I don't know what you call them,
statues. They're
but
statues, yeah.
no, I'm talking about, they hold like those certain.
The
I
Ankh
think
and
it's like a hoe, and it's something else
the
to
Ankh. There's an
represent
Ankh
like
they have.
agriculture. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, something like that. And even those, I mean, how long did that take?
yeah.
How are you building that? How are
Yeah,
you?
it means you have
Anyways,
craftsmen, you have people who are specialized in that, because farmer is not just standing up and start suddenly doing that. I did a quick
dude, and you
search.
can't. Okay,
Sorry, I just googled
let's
this. I,
hear it.
I think the answer is interesting. Um, so I googled oldest anatomically modern human being in Africa. Um, just by the way, whether you put in Africa or you just simply Google oldest anatomically modern human
Human.
being, it gives you the same result, first of all. And AI had an answer for me. I don't know. Cool. We'll just read it because it's the easiest, but it would be nice to even go into some other things, but okay. The oldest known anatomically modern human remains in Africa belong to Homo sapiens, discovered at Jebel Irhoud, Morocco. Dated to approximately 300,000 years ago, these fossils, including skulls and teeth, pushed back the timeline of our species' origins by over 100,000 years. Prior to this 2017 discovery, the oldest known anatomically modern humans were the Herto fossils in Ethiopia, dating up to about 160,000 years ago. Now, I just want to point out something very interesting again. It might be very petty of me. These early humans that they've got depicted here in the picture, because there's obviously always an artist's interpretation, look very
Yeah,
European to me. I don't know why they would do that, because it just seems disingenuous. Like, maybe because it's in Morocco, so they're like, okay, let's make them look a little bit more Middle Eastern. Doesn't really make sense, right? Because we know that Morocco was actually, and North Africa in general, was conquered by the Caliphate, meaning that Arabian Arabs came out of the Arabian Peninsula and conquered that part. So, I mean, we know that they were like dark-skinned people living there. I don't know why they draw it like this. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Again, one of those things I was talking about, that modern human beings, we try to project onto the past. But yeah, so 300
But even
years.
300,000 is crazy, dude.
Yeah, it's a lot. And it's silly to assume that for 100,000 years of 100,000 years, they never.
Dude, just think
I don't
about
know how
how
to put it.
preposterous that is, to think that after 100,000 years, they wouldn't have been where we are today.
Or even some. Remember, it doesn't have to be
No, because
iPhones. It
why
doesn't.
why do we think, that's a real question. Why do we think that it's only us who could have, we at, obviously the leading edge, as they always call it or put it. So we are saying that it took us 300,000 years to be able to make phones and have Wi-Fi. And that, to me, just seems so stupid.
I think it's highly unlikely. But I also think that they saw the world differently. I mean, look at this, for example. It's the most modern example, the most recent example we have. Middle Ages Europe was less advanced than Rome. Ancient Rome, they had false, and you can Google all of this. Ancient Rome had false teeth. They had roads. They had mega structure. No, not mega structures, but they're
Sewer
large structure.
systems.
That's aqueducts. They had ice. Okay, they had systems by which they were getting fresh ice from the Alps into the city of Rome, right? Because the Alps is between, the Alps are partially in Italy, Switzerland, Germany, France, right? So the Alps crosses many countries, but they were getting ice from the Alps straight into the city of Rome. And so I just feel like we have an
But what I'm
example right
saying
there.
is this.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. We have an
But
example right there where just coming forward, quote unquote, forward in time doesn't necessarily mean that you're more advanced. Right? I mean, you're going from ancient Egypt where they had public school systems to 1500s Europe where people couldn't read and write. Only the priest could read and write, kind of thing, and maybe some nobles. And those nobles were reading at a fourth grade level, like the cat is jumping over, right?
I
And
thought
then
you were
you
saying
compare
ket
that.
as in an Egyptian word, but you meant cat.
Yeah, but I'm just saying,
Like
uh,
KAET.
but I'm just showing that, this thing of
No,
we
no.
because it's further or closer to us somehow they were more advanced. It doesn't hold water, my friend.
But this is what I'm saying, is that now the biggest question you have to ask yourself is, why did those things fail? Why did they collapse? Because the only thing that people would push back on is, oh no, but we were cavemen. But what about before that? There's, if we have to just look at history, and we have to imagine that, predictive history, shout out
Yeah,
Professor
just keep
Zhang.
talking. I'm going to change the screen to me. I want to search something. Keep going.
But anyway, so basically, you've got you have history, so there's been enough history to at least be able to predict certain things. The one thing that we can always predict is there's some type of war that always happens. There's always war. So even if we started in Africa and people started multiplying and then it just got too full, there's ideas that are exchanged, people don't like what others are saying, and then there's war. One loses, the other survivors either run away or become slaves.
Mm.
And so if there is some type of power, because a lot of people say that, the pyramids could even be like some form of conductor, where the lightning would come through the top. I can't remember what, maybe it was gold that they were using to conduct the electricity. And actually, all around the pyramid of the main pyramid of Giza,
Mm.
there was I think it was iron veins, iron ore, like veins, literally there. So what happens is lightning strikes on that land because of it's conducting, right? There's iron in the ground. So that thing was then specifically built where the lightning was hitting. So this is taking a long time for people to actually study this and look at it and say, when there's lightning storms, it hits on this place. Now, then why would you build, like, how would you even have
But I don't
the
think it was
knowledge?
iron. I don't think it was iron because one of the
Whatever it
weaknesses of
is,
one
there
of the
was,
maybe it was a type of metal, but Egypt, one of the things that they didn't have, one of the reasons why, for example, Alexander the Great was able to conquer Egypt is because they still had bronze weapons because they lacked iron ore. Um, yeah, they lacked iron ore. They just didn't have it. They only had it like in small quantities, like not enough to arm a
but here's the
military.
thing, right? If they built the pyramids on top of these iron ore veins, how are they then gonna excavate and get it?
Let me. Do you want me to search that?
I don't know. Just give it a quick search. This is actually what one of the main dudes who does the lidar. This is like I'm getting this information from him. Um, he was saying that not that Italian guy, but there's another dude who does it as well, like a younger guy. But anyways, the point being is that then they decided we're gonna build whatever structure this is. Build because I think the pyramid is actually a diamond, right? You see the pyramid on top, but it actually goes underground, um, like an upside down triangle, essentially.
Hmm.
So you have this prism, or I don't know what shape you would call that,
Yeah, 3 dimension. Yeah,
but
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I get what you're
right.
saying.
So basically, they had whatever conductor at the top point, and then that would send the lightning through this, I don't know, this pyramid, whatever you want to call it. And they were doing something with it. It was
Don't you think
essentially
that's just
magic.
Ben
You were,
Carson talking cack? Because
you
I
mean
don't know. I've
Billy
never seen.
Carson?
I mean, if it were that shape, if the
I
pyramids were
heard it
that,
from Eddie Griffin, dude. Eddie Griffin was talking about it in his stand up.
okay, well,
They
Eddie
were
Griffin's.
using like amethyst, or they were like, it's something you would just have to look up, but
I don't. I mean,
if I don't know if it's true or not, but if that's the case, why are they doing it? Who told them to do that? Like, how would you even know that you could harness electricity like that?
uh, I don't think it's true because, like I said, iron was very rare in Egypt.
Yeah,
Also,
but you keep going on about the iron thing, but what I'm really referring to is the place that is the point that lightning was striking in that area a lot.
okay, that's one thing I'll check out again. But in terms of iron, yeah, in ancient Kemet, that was extraordinary raw. Um, uh,
Rare.
rare, yeah. What did I say? Raw.
Yeah, I was like, okay, easy, easy.
uh,
But
I
anyways,
mean,
my point being is that you don't wake up one day and you say, or maybe you do. It depends if you're like.
hmm.
We have to understand that like there's infinite intelligence that has always been and always will be.
Yeah,
The
I
ideas
think
that you could have in 2026, that potential is it's all around us. It's within us.
I think
It's like
that
even when I used to write music, and a lot of artists will talk about this as well, is that you sit and you kind of listen to something that's invisible, and then you get these downloads of ideas and you write them. It's the same like we even discuss with this podcast when we talk. We just go through a bunch of different topics. We don't even know what we're going to even talk about. But yet it comes from somewhere. So if you are more in tuned to that infinite intelligence, you're going to use it for what's needed around you at that time. So that I will give them. If life is a little bit more primitive, then your technology will only rise to that point, essentially. You know, how do we get running water? How do I get this water from the mountain and get it to my village? You know,
but
maybe
that's
that's
also
as
advanced
far
because
as you use it. No, it
dude,
is.
they were in France, in Paris. They didn't have toilets till late, brother. Like, and not just France. I mean, Europe. It's dude. They didn't have aqueducts or anything like that. They didn't have running water. They were still getting water from wells. They were taking their shit buckets and
But
just
let's be
throwing it
honest,
onto the
didn't the
streets.
Romans get it from Egypt?
It's highly
Didn't they get
possible.
the ideas from Egypt?
I don't know if they got all the ideas. I wouldn't say that, but there was definitely a lot of influence. The Romans definitely had a competitive nature with the Egyptians, but also a respect. So, like, if you see someone as your opponent, it means you do intrinsically respect them, right? I mean, the Romans conquered the Greeks
Like
and
America, China,
respected,
right?
yeah, and they respected them because because they knew that these guys actually knew a lot. That's why even a Greek slave was a highly praised um, slave. I mean, it was someone who you could ask to do your accounts. He could read, he could write. Um, it's very possible that they did that. But I just want to dispel, just so that we don't get on the wrong tangent. I want to dispel this whole thing of lightning striking the pyramids. Yes, lightning has historically struck the Giza pyramids because electrical storms are relatively rare in the Egyptian desert. Direct strikes don't happen often, but they do occur when severe weather passes through the region. While the massive limestone structures are susceptible to being hit because they are tall and exposed, these occasional strikes act as natural groundings and do not cause significant structural damage to the ancient monuments.
But no
Yeah.
one said anything about damaging them.
No,
I'm
no,
talking about
damage, yeah.
harnessing the light.
Mm. I don't know, but I understand what you're saying.
Look, it could just be conspiracy, right? It could
Yeah,
just be, oh, this sounds like it would be cool if they did that.
yeah, yeah.
All I'm saying is that even if we just look at the pyramids themselves, you're not gonna wake up one day and just be like, we need to build these things. And then when you start building it, all of a sudden it's so precise. Like we're talking about a very long time of something forming in the people's minds
Sciences as well,
to,
like science measuring, you know,
yeah, geometry, even
yeah.
like sacred geometry and stuff.
Even that
So
everywhere you see evidence of the centimeter having already been discovered, right? Because of the measurements. I mean, the measurements, it's not a coincidence that things are centimeter accurate. It's because, and I'm definitely not the first person to say this. I mean, you can find it online. The French, for example, they took a lot of what they saw in terms of like centimeters and things like that in Egypt, and they used those measurements because they saw that as a sacred geometry, right? A sacred measurements and proportions. And the Egyptians were using centimeters. They conceived of a centimeter. They took a drop of water and they dropped it onto a granite slab. And when you literally take a drop, and you're not just like when you like dirt, like if you were to, for example, take a pen or something and then dip it in water, and then you see that drop like form at the tip, and then it naturally drops once it reaches that load bearing capacity, and then it has to drop. You know what I mean? And it lands on granite, which is not so permeable. You will see that measurement is a centimeter. You can try it. Try it. Like you'll
No,
see
yeah,
that. Oh, snap!
I was gonna say this fact
Yeah, that's how they
when you
came to a
brought
centimeter.
that up.
So you see, a centimeter has I would almost say a natural base. It's not just some arbitrary length like the king's elbow length or 5
Or
stones.
someone's thumb or
Exactly.
something.
It's actually they took something, they said to themselves, what is a universal concept is water. What is the standard of one drop? The standard unit of water, and it's a centimeter, right? A drop of water has a diameter of a centimeter, and then bam, and that's profound knowledge. I mean, like you said, you don't just stand up
No, like
suddenly.
just really think about that. Like, why would you need to? Like, how long would it take if you're building a bunch of things and everything is kind of just like inaccurate? Like, at what point does someone say, I want to be so precise, and then one day has this epiphany because it's raining and they see it drop and they look at it and they go, oh my goodness, those drops are the same size.
Mm, mm, mm.
Like it would be interesting to actually peek into the brain. But like I said, if you realize that, and it kind of ties into the conversation from last week with consciousness playing at its own game, creating things to be as wild and as playful and as perfect as can be, then no pun intended, but the centimeter is just a drop in a bucket of the potential.
Yeah.
Um,
It's very
of all the
interesting.
things that are possible, and that wouldn't need to take. You see, the problem is, it's once again, we look at things too linearly.
Yeah.
That's just how human beings are. Oh, it's point A and that's point B, and things are a certain way here, and then as time goes on through space, boom, now it's different and it's more advanced. But, you know, look at a seahorse, look at any type of coral reef, the Great Barrier Reef in the ocean. Look how the colors of the different fish, the clownfish and the pufferfish. Just look at these ideas that are made in the ocean, right? Apparently before any land animals and stuff were ever
Mm.
created. So,
Something.
or, where things,
Something.
because like, yeah, so
Sorry.
I was just
Um.
ranting.
No, no worries. So, like I was saying, this idea that and you can't blame people, laymen and women, as well as scientists, for having this idea of, well, nothing really came out of Africa or nothing was done in Africa. It's because of the the scarcity of archaeological digs in Africa. So, for example, people have asked questions like, why does it seem like all these dinosaurs are only in North America? Because there's a lot of dinosaurs that have been discovered in North America, right? Fossils and stuff. But it's not that. The fact is, there's very little funding for those type of archaeological digs in other parts of the world. So, in other words, America has simply had a great deal of focus and expertise and emphasis on searching for those kind of fossils. That's why they have so many fossils discovered in America, North America particularly, right? It's not that there were only dinosaurs in North America. And in the same way, you don't have a lot of archaeological digs or sites or projects in Africa. And to show you that this is not just something I'm talking about, I searched again, I Googled, and I asked the question, why so few archaeological digs in Africa? And AI had an answer for me, and it says, the scarcity of archaeological digs in Africa largely stems from a historical imbalance in global research funding, colonial legacies, and challenging environmental factors, right? So, you've got lots of rainforests as well in Africa. Lots of people like to think of Africa as dry, barren. They think of the Serengeti or the Sahara, but there's also a lot of lush, places, high rainfall for long times and stuff. For generations, foreign institutions dominated the field, focusing primarily on places like Egypt while overlooking the continent's vast and diverse pre-colonial heritage. The gap in Africa's archaeological records is driven by a combination of historical, practical, and environmental hurdles. It mentions colonial history and bias, um, funding discrepancies, material preservation, right? Much of sub-Saharan African history featured structures built from timber and adobe rather than stone. In humid environments like the Congo Basin, organic materials rot quickly, leaving behind fewer visible ruins for modern archaeologists to find. My point being, if we were ever to really be interested in seeing what our earliest ancestors were doing, we would have to spend a bit more time looking into African dig sites. And
But here's another thing
yeah,
as well. Is it also, yes, it would be nice to peel back history and be able to see what was there before and stuff. But also, it's not like that necessary for us to be digging and prodding in all the lands trying to find stuff.
is it not?
Uh,
Is that not what will push back our understanding? I mean, think about what the understanding, things like Gobekli Tepe.
yeah, but at what point do you want to just say, we know just by looking at other sites that unless you wanted to clear the any type of
racial bias or
I don't want to say racial claims, but the idea that, oh, Africa has always just been primitive. If that's what you're trying to achieve, and then to prove like, oh, look, we found full civilizations of magnificent structures all here buried underneath the earth in Africa. If that's what you're trying to prove, then I can understand that. But other than that, you just have to look around the world to see that it's impossible to have all these advanced places and then not also be in Africa. And I don't mean just like Egypt, I'm talking about all the way through.
I think the
What I would
reason
rather want to see is that Africa climb to a place where they have, like, we just have our own identity, and it's not where you've got to worry about rebels and warlords, and you can't really just move freely around Africa, which would be
amazing.
that would be nice,
Yeah, but I think the reason why it's important is this, is that knowledge expands the mind. You take someone who, and I've seen this myself, a black American,
Billy Carson.
has always been in America, has always lived in America, in the urban areas, comes to Botswana for the first time and is like, wow, man, like, I didn't know that was like this, you know what I'm saying? And and the person has changed. I mean, the thing is, you're shedding a light into someone's mind to just shatter that paradigm that they were living in that is so shrunken. And so you're right. Obviously, the emphasis shouldn't be on looking in the past and trying to find, I don't know, salvation, redemption, validation in the past. But it will do something to change people's minds about what this is and what time is and how human beings have been moving through the passage of time. You know what I mean? Like, that's not to be understated. There's so much value in that because even just seeing Egypt and the Sphinx, it had a huge, profound change on Western Europe and their understanding of everything. I mean, I just told you, for example, the symmetries and the measurements that people discovered in Egypt in modern Europeans, let's say it like that, uh, found there, like when Napoleon went there, for example, and conquered, it had a huge impact on France. It had a huge impact on current day technologies. Um, and that's what's important because this is not about vindicating Black or Sub-Saharan Africans. This is more about our history because that's what it is. It's our history. It doesn't just belong to Black people. It belongs to the world. The whole world is being denied something when the history of Africa is being denied because we are one being. We are the same thing copied over and over and over again to do you get what I'm saying? Like it's like when I hear a story of my grandfather who was in World War II, who by the way had red hair like you. Um and
Hello.
yeah, he did. He had red hair and Robert McKenney. He had a crazy World War II story where he was basically left behind in enemy territory. He was in Germany. Then he was found by a German farmer who took him back to his place, put him in the attic, and nursed him back to health. And once he was healthy, gave him his deceased son's military uniform so that he could put it on and then masquerade as a German soldier, like more safely, to get back to the British and then be like, yo, I'm one of you. And
But I
then,
mean, was he a black guy? What are you
no, he
saying
wasn't
here?
black. He was Scottish. He was a white
Oh.
dude.
No, because I mean, he's like red hair made me think like someone like me.
No, he's a the white guy. Um,
Well, you went to the attic, so you're Jewish.
no, no, no. Um, I'm guessing just because it's not cool to be nursing he's a POW. He's supposed to probably be reported back to Central, whatever. But my point being, those kind of stories, we can draw inspiration from them. We can draw strength from them when we realize that this is in our blood, right? Like, if this is what my forefathers could bear, then surely I can bear the same even today. Does that make sense? Like, you learn
No,
through
no,
that. You
I like
realize.
you. You do have a point, but I just think there's a lot of confusion and stuff in terms of where people kind of find themselves. You have people who are looking to the future with AI and all these things. Then you have people digging up the past uh, to try explain things. And then you just got someone who's in the present who's just, trying to go to work and feed his family.
course.
So it's kind of, it's like, which is the hill that you want to choose to live on?
Let me make one
I
last point.
I like to look forward more than backwards.
Let me make one more point about the past. The reason that mega projects like the pyramids could be embarked upon was because, so the ebb and flow of the Nile, right? Every year there was a Nile flooding that would happen. The basin would become flooded, and deposit its rich soils there, and then it would, the flooding would recede, and then people would start to they would have to re-etch the borders of the individual plots of farmland, and then they would continue with the agricultural production, which means that there were months at a time where they couldn't work on farming. Now, that forced break, if I can call it, is what then led to the rise of artisanry, where there's nothing you can do except for just chill for a bit, right? Like you're just eating the grain that you got from your last harvest, and there's time for writing songs. There's time for playing around with chiseling on stone. There's time to look up at the stars and start to map celestial patterns. And this is the rise of intellectualism, when you have the forced break from working. And today, we don't have that. Today, it's Monday to Friday, 51 to 53 days of the week, 53 weeks of the year. So there's almost no
52.
time for people to sit down and just think what does my mind have to offer at this point in time? And I think that's why our development is so lopsided, right? So we're talking, on the one hand, we're talking about the rise of AGI, AI, super intelligence, but we still can't fix simple problems like sustainable energy sources. It's because men and women don't have the time to sit down and think of new ideas. The only way that new ideas are coming up these days is through the funding from major corporations. And major corporations are profit motivated, which means that the innovations they are coming up with, or that are being funded, are those that prioritize what? Profit. Money. So that's why
I would
our
just
research
say,
is so lopsided. It's not there's many inventions that could be here right now that solve energy crisis.
but there's also a lot of things that have been um lobbied against.
Yes.
That can't be understated.
Yeah,
Where
you're right.
technologies and things that could have taken us way further aren't in existence. Patents were bought up and shelved because this doesn't go along with our narrative of
Of
the
course.
way we are pushing things. So, that's what you're dealing with. And that's not conspiracy, that's real. There's a bunch of stories about, the first electric car, even the dude who made the engine that was just running on water, who I think was poisoned or something like that. I could be mixing a bunch of stories, but there's
Aha.
when you have a bunch of rich people who lobby against what you're trying to do, it's but my basically what I'm saying is this. First of all, we're looking at The Walking Dead. That's how you can actually just look at the modern day human being. And this could be contested obviously, but I don't think ideas come through you. you don't create the ideas. And I think if people would understand that and have that distinction, there would be way more ideas flowing. Because, and I mean, I keep bringing it up about this like infinite intelligence that always has been and always will be. You know, you could even look at it as intelligence in being like a synonym of God. You know, like love or something like that. Because all these guys like Einstein and a lot of these people, even Henry Ford, for instance, they were all doing their own version of something that has been, these books have been written about it, even Madam C.J. Walker. A lot of these people were doing a certain practice. Einstein, I think I might have already mentioned that people just don't do it today.
Dude, of course, Albert
And
Einstein.
that is sitting down in contemplation,
Yes.
finding 20 minutes a day. And you said this last time, and when I re-listened to the episode, I was like, oh my gosh, that's what your dad was trying to tell you. He's trying to tell you about what has been branded as meditation. But it's just finding that quiet space to tap into the real matrix, not this matrix that, oh, the robots own the world. I'm talking about the real matrix, which is consciousness, and being filled with ideas and all things that are possible while you're
Yeah.
sitting there and you're running it through your mind. And then you have the epiphanies. People don't do that.
Brother,
So
this is
you
what I was
won't have
trying.
any ideas.
That's what I was trying to tell you. You take the medieval farmer, or you take the. Or only problem with the medieval farmer in Europe was that they were very much confined by religious ideas, right? But you take, for example, ancient Egypt, the time that you're forced to sit down because you can't do anything because of the Nile flooding, that's time for contemplation. Isaac Newton was sitting underneath an apple tree when the apple
Exactly.
fell, and he had the time. He was sitting and thinking, right? Albert Einstein, it's notorious, or it's well documented. By many, he was considered not the best mathematician, but he was a very creative thinker. That's what enabled him to think outside of the box, to kind of think of things like relativity. He was conducting thought experiments where he was like asking himself, okay, what if I could imagine this very, well, impossible thing? And then, like things like, oh, what if I think about how weird it is to sit there and think about, what if I put myself into a rocket and then I sent that person, or I put a person on a rocket and I sent that person at the speed of light, like 50 years away. How would they age relative to how I age, and things like that? So again, yes, you're right. It's that time for contemplation, that time for, in inverted commas, meditation. I just want to tell you something as well. About how sick our modern system is. There's this plant. I just did a search. But before I go to, are you allowed to? Let me. What I want to do is okay.
So you're
One
talking about
second.
a certain plant.
Yes, a certain plant.
But
Okay.
while you're
Why?
doing that, I'll just say, okay.
I've got it. This plant. Uvuma umhlapa, or
Oh boy.
Synaptolepis kirkii. Okay? So what I'd searched was, because I had forgotten the name, obviously, you can see that's not an easy name to remember. I Googled white South African root that regrows neurons. And it says, you are likely thinking of Uvuma omhlope. It's in South Africa. Synaptolepis kirkii,
Umhlope.
a medicinal shrub. The name translates to white plant or white medicine in Xhosa. Traditional South African healers, in brackets sangomas, utilize its roots in
Witch
sacred,
doctors.
to call it a witch doctor. That's, anyway, that's the colonial legacy. Just relax that. utilize its roots in sacred herbal mixtures known as ubulawu to stimulate vivid dreams, achieve
Muti.
achieve spiritual clarity, and calm the nervous system, neurogenesis, and nerve growth. Ethnopharmacological research indicates that compounds within Synapolepsis cerci can promote neurogenesis, the creation of new neurons and neural pathways. Do you understand that? Now, for those of you, if you don't know this, what do you often hear? You often hear the brain doesn't regrow neurons, right? The brain doesn't regrow neurons.
Yeah, I
That's the
mean that
first thing
was
there.
pretty old. That's like pretty old at this point, but people did say it a lot back in the day.
Yeah, no, it's not old. It's
If you
still
if you if you knock your head and you lose brain cells, you can never get them back.
and
That
booze
type
and
of
whatever.
thing.
Yeah, but it's still. I mean, that's why we don't have a cure, if I can put it that way, for things like dementia, right? Because they're still holding on to that idea. But at the same time, you have plants like this that actually grow new neurons and neural pathways, right? And yeah, it contains active principles known to stimulate neurotropic factors, which are critical for neuron survival, memory function, and brain plasticity. That's even the ability to learn new things, right? Um, and then I now focus on that. Now, then I googled, are you allowed to harvest wild uvuma omhlope? And AI had an answer. It confirms what I already had done my own research before Google had this AI
Which is
function.
no.
Harvesting wild uvuma omhlope is heavily restricted and generally illegal without strict permits in South Africa, right? As the chalk stick roots are classified as near threatened. Now, pharmaceutical companies, I know this for a fact, have gotten this root which can
Of course,
probably
dude.
cure things, right? Like very painful ailments like dementia, which is very sad to witness, or other diseases.
Alzheimer's is a degenerative
Alzheimer's,
one as well.
you see what I mean? And immediately restrict it, it's illegal. But it's a plant. You can regrow this shit. But that's not cool, right? We don't want you to be having your own little supply of this plant, having um having first of all awesome vivid dreams that possibly even open you up spiritually. um and then you have this free access to like, and then you won't get sick or like, I mean, think about it, growing new neurons. What would happen if you drank this tea every day or even once a week for like the next 20 years? Are you going to get dementia? You're going to get Alzheimer's? Are you imagine reading books or trying to learn new subjects and you're giving students this kind of a tea? Bro, people are passing with A's. You can't have that, Mikey. You can't have that because what? It's not profitable. So our idea of like the system that we've built, I don't have anything against capitalism as such, like the idea of making money, but it's so unbridled. It's so unvarnished and it
Dude,
has
but
such
the
raw.
worst thing, sorry to cut you off, but the worst thing that they do is when they patent something like that
That's
and then they
natural,
put it on
right?
the shelf.
Oh, dude.
No, and then they put it on the shelf. They don't even use it, but you can't make it and sell it because they say no. This we already patented these compounds, and this is the way we've put it together. So either you have to pay them some exorbitant fee or whatever, but there's like these blockades. So that alone should tell you. That's is why like the pharmaceutical companies hate the peptides trend, you know. And they've been pushing back on it. And what's the one thing that they said? Oh, we've got patents on these certain types of peptides, so these people shouldn't be allowed to sell these things. And
But
it's
like, what is
like,
a peptide?
who are you, man?
How do you?
You know, like,
Yeah,
who are you just because you have money? And this isn't to, like you said, there's nothing wrong with money. It's just energy. But this idea that you can just own all the things, even if I'm just in like a small little village, and I just want to support the villagers and I make this tea, this brew, this potion. Now all of a sudden it's illegal and I get locked up and
bro, it's absurd. There's even this dude. You wanna go on a crazy trip? Another route. Not even a route. It's a delicious tea that I drank.
the one you always bring up.
Yeah, Myrothamnus flabellifolia, right? Uh, HIV research. Like it's
But it's kind
crazy.
of like the whole Dr. Stevie thing, right? I don't know if like Dave Chappelle was making a joke or something.
Look. I got it. Okay,
Yeah.
continue. Make your joke. Say your thing.
No. Remember, like we obviously all heard about Dr. CB and
Yeah,
what's that
but
other
also
rapper? That other rapper
Nipsey
who got
Hussle.
killed.
Nipsey
Nipsey
Hussle.
Hussle was trying to make the documentary,
Mm.
and then after that, it was like Nick Cannon was looking into it. Either way, he actually won the court cases, right? It's
Because they couldn't
proven
prove that he
that,
didn't cure it.
yeah, which
But
is
there's also
like, and we're
people who
talking about
died.
HIV,
Yeah.
of course. So, and then Dave Chappelle said he sent some guy there, some street comic, and that guy ended up dying. He couldn't get cured.
Yeah.
So, I can't even remember what my point was.
But listen, to be fair, your point is maybe it doesn't work at all. Some of the
No,
stuff, but
no, I'm saying that I don't. I literally don't
you
know
don't
what
know
I
what
was
you're
trying
saying.
to say.
Okay. Well, I mean, the thing is, to be fair, right?
I need some of that tea,
To
that
be, yeah,
uchlape.
you do, bro. You won't believe the price for 10 grams. It's like I'm buying like cocaine or something. 10, okay, no, not cocaine, but like,
550 rand. What? Oh, for
dude,
10 G's. So that's like
10,
5,500.
no, 10 grams is like on eBay is like 18 euros. What's that in rands? That's like
18 euros. So
18
that's
times 20. That's easily what,
it's like
3,000, 340.
360. Oh, 3,000 something.
No, no, 340 rand or something for 10
No, I
grams.
said 360 rand.
Yeah, maybe.
Um,
But my
but
point,
what I'm,
yeah. Oh,
yeah.
okay. Well, sorry,
No, I would this. I want to say this before I forget it.
Okay.
You can get the same effects as well with lion's mane, the mushrooms,
Ooh, yeah.
and I think reishi as well. Reishi.
Yeah,
Those are
not.
also nootropics, but I don't know if it's as potent as that witch doctor's recommendation.
Uh, let's say lion's mane. Let's see. I think. Um.
Because lion's mane is potent, like people stand by it.
Uh.
And it also looks crazy. It's also white. You said the
I,
other one is a white root.
yeah, but it's not just about
So
color. I think it probably is. But I also think that the fact that they are even, can I put it this way, allowing it to be grown and cultivated and
on the
things like that
market.
might be an indicator of the fact that it is nootropic, but it's not as potent, because definitely they'll put a plug on things that are too good. Like anything that's too,
We
they
can
like.
definitely research if you want to as to the potency and um
What I want to share with you here is this other plant. Now, the resurrection bush, it's in Botswana, it's in Zimbabwe. Okay, this plant. Let me first explain to you. This plant
called the
called the
Jesus bulb.
the resurrection bush, or Myrothamnus flabellifolius, is an amazing plant. in the winter or in the dry season, it looks dead. It looks like a withered husk. Like you can just snap off a piece. It's it looks absolutely dead. But the moment it rains or gets any water, it just turns green immediately. Like it literally comes back to life. I've seen this. You can even take a little piece of this, put it in tea or water, like a warm water or just cold water. You put it inside, and just a few moments later, you'll see this thing looking like you just put a live bush in your cup. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And um, there's research that's been done on this, and I want to share with you this research. And it's very difficult to get this plant. And they're trying to stop people from harvesting it. And they also say things
But do
like,
you
"Oh,
also
but
consume it?
yeah, you can consume it. It's amazing." And research into Myrothamnus flabellifolia, the South African resurrection plant, Southern African, sorry, resurrection plant, and HIV centers on its polyphenolic compounds, specifically 3,4,5 galloic linic acid. I'm butchering it. In vitro laboratory studies, this compound has been shown to inhibit HIV-1 viral activity by non-competitively blocking reverse transcriptase RT enzymes. So enzyme inhibition. A polyphenol enriched extract from the plant demonstrated the ability to inhibit viral replication. This isolated major polyphenol effectively inhibits HIV-1 reverse transcriptase in lab assays. Potency. Studies indicate an inhibitory concentration of, I'm not going to even try to attempt that, of 34 micromus for HIV-1 reverse transcriptase, demonstrating its potential as a targeted antiviral compound. Now, there's obviously
So is
something
that
about
what they use in prep?
no, they're not gonna give this to you, bro. Get real. There's no money in that because you
No, you
can,
know, like prep also blocks things. Like, I
or maybe
wonder
that's what they
if there's
did.
any
Maybe they,
correlation.
you're right. Maybe they just took parts of that and they were like, okay, we'll
And this is why
synthesize
they
it in the
patent
lab.
it so that you can't use it because they're already using it.
I don't know, brother. All I'm saying is that it's a fact that 80% of medicines that we have today, and Google this yourself, come from natural plants and natural sources,
Dude, what do
and
you
they
mean all of it
synthesize them.
comes from natural plants?
You can't say all of it because obviously there's like antibodies that they've replicated, or like vaccines. So it's not from a plant, but it's coming from a microorganism. So I don't know if you
But
can.
even the vaccine itself is just like a dead version of the virus.
So yes, so from natural sources. If you
So
want
it
to say
is,
natural
yeah,
sources,
natural.
then
Yeah.
then or whatever you want to put it. Yeah. Um. Yeah.
It's just yeah, it's interesting because it shows you back to the first thing that I was saying, and I do want to touch more on that part. I know we went on
We
this
want to
whole
touch.
other tangent. No, I'm saying that I was still talking about the importance of meditation in this world of The
Yes.
Walking Dead and why we don't. It's crazy how far we got off from that.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure how or why. But if people would just do that, if for 20 minutes a day you would sit peaceful and as best as you could just limit your thought activity, you don't have to force it or anything, and go sit in nature, there would be a massive difference in your life in terms of ideas and things that might have been plaguing you that you go, oh my goodness, this has been it the whole time. A lot of people have started businesses. A lot of people have gotten certain scripts and screenplays, ideas for screenplays, you name it. All kinds of inventions and things have come from just going somewhere and sitting peacefully and quiet, preferably where there isn't anybody, and just, it's like I always speak about David Guillaume, right? The Kabbalah teacher.
Mm.
And, you know, he was saying the exact formula, and you can see it with a bunch of different people. Even, Madam C.J. Walker. A lot of people don't even know who that is. She was born a slave in America, and she became the first female millionaire ever. Not black female, first female millionaire. Someone who was born a slave.
CJ
And
CJ Walker,
Madam
she's a
C.J. Walker,
black woman or what?
yes, black woman, was the first female millionaire of America, dude. And people don't even know these things. It's so strange. But anyways, the point is, she did it as well. She used to go hide in the tree, right? And that's where she would sit and have her contemplations. Henry Ford would do the same thing. There was a barn where his father's old rocking chair was. And he would just take time to go sit there in this old rocking chair and have his contemplations.
Wait, okay, let's focus a little bit more on this Madam CJ Walker.
I'm just saying that there's a formula here that's been left for us to follow. But I'm watching Netflix. Oh no, I'm on the booze. I'm on the bottle. Oh, I'm on the pipe.
Bro, can I just read
You
this?
know,
It's
I'm
crazy.
smoking drugs.
This
Dude, read this story
dude,
because I
this
know
is
the reason I brought it up because I knew it was gonna like make you smile from ear to ear, dude. More people
yeah, I
should
mean,
be talking about her.
yeah, bro. Like you said, it's not even like first black. No, it's like it says
No, it's the
Madam
first
CJ.
female.
Yeah, Madam. I think I might have heard about this before once, but Madam C.J. Walker, born Sarah Breedlove, is widely recorded as the first female self-made millionaire in America. She achieved this immense financial success by building a thriving beauty empire and creating a highly successful line of hair care and cosmetics products specifically marketed to black women. Orphaned at a young age, and having initially worked as a laundress for $1.50 a week, Walker transformed her life by developing a homemade scalp formula to treat her own hair loss. In 1905, she founded what became the Madam C.J. Walker Manufacturing Company. The business expansion relied on the Walker system, which trained and empowered thousands of black women as independent Dude, this is the first. Yes, bro.
She's
This
the
is like the
first
first
MLM, dude.
multi-level, yeah, MLM,
Exactly.
multi-level marketing. Empowered thousands of black women as independent door-to-door sales agents across the United States, Central America, and the Caribbean. In addition to her entrepreneurship, Walker was a prominent philanthropist and social activist, donating significant funds to civil rights causes, the NAACP, black colleges, and various orphanages. By the time of her death in 1919, her personal fortune exceeded $1 million, which at that time might as well have been like half a billion.
Dude,
I mean,
it's hundreds of millions of dollars. Dude.
yeah. Um, you know,
So I even got goosebumps now thinking about it. And one of her key things was she would go hide in the tree because she would get beaten and stuff by her husband. I think she was even pregnant at like 14 or something like that. And she would go sit in the tree, and there she would have her contemplations. She would sit uh, and like, but no, we're not gonna do that. Oh, I don't know. I don't have time to go and sit in nature and just sit and think and then be silent as well. And I think it's just so stupid. I think
Yeah.
like, if you want to change your life, maybe it's just that simple. Maybe the idea will just come to you. Like this, one of my dogs just keeps scratching on the door the whole time.
You want to
and
open for him?
But anyways,
Huh.
no.
You only have bitches.
Well, I only have bitches. Anyways, so that's what I'm saying. A lot of these people have been doing that, and yeah, there's nothing really else to say about it other than start doing it more and more.
You have to, but something also important, or maybe it will come with it, is the courage to do it. Right? This world is full of thinkers. It's full of people who are armchair rebels, full of people who are
Oh, that's gonna
hidden,
segue into something I want to talk
yeah,
about.
full of people who are like hidden geniuses. You know, they've got all the solutions, and they'll be glad to share them with you. But like, what are you willing to do about it? Because even this woman, I mean, and this is again one of those things I was saying, like, this is an example, Madam CJ Walker, not just for black women or for black people, but for all people. If this woman who was an
Yeah,
orphan, who was a laundress,
born into slavery.
what, I don't know if she was born into slavery, but like she was a laundress, um, which is, you're working in laundry, it's not amazing. Then if she had not just the idea, but then the fortitude, the desire, the persistence to build up something like this in her time, what's holding you back? What's holding me back?
So that's the thing, right?
It's not about money, it's just about the
No,
courage to
exactly.
do what you want, like to see a problem, find a solution, and say, I want to share this with the world.
But so that's the thing, the contemplation part. That's one part of the formula. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That there is where, because most people will say, "Oh, I want to be financially free, but I just don't have any good ideas." So when you go and you sit down and you do that, that's where the ideas will come from. And it's not even the idea of like, oh, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. It's so stupid. What you want is you want to solve a problem. You see, and those come throughout the day if you're aware of things. I was just about to say one of the ideas that I had, but something so simple, dude, where it's an everyday thing that I've noticed in households, and it's a problem that everybody has and everybody always complains about. And it's just been like, I've been picking it up and I've been thinking about it. And that's obviously the contemplation. And I haven't got any answers for it because I haven't focused on it. But what I'm saying is there's so many different opportunities for little problems to be solved. Take like the toothpick, for instance, right? Whoever invented the toothpick, I mean, you're talking about almost infinite wealth. Just a small stick that takes like mainly meat out of your teeth, you know? And then even stuff like dental floss. There are problems or perceived problems that are very simple, it's literally right under people's noses. And you just have to be like, oh, here's something that I can solve. And then go into those contemplations, sit down, and then you'll be like, oh, wait, I think I got it. Write that down, start doing research, um, set certain intentions that, this is something I actually want to accomplish and do. And then there's a bunch of things that'll start popping up in your life, dude. I mean, there's a couple of more things, but that's that's what we should be striving towards, is solving problems.
Yeah.
It's not always about inventing some other thing that's gonna, revolutionize the world, which, I mean, could also be seen as just solving some other problem, but sometimes it's very close to you, and those are where the big ideas are.
Yeah.
uh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you're right, dude, because I mean, we live in a world where billionaires are willing to spend billions and billions of dollars to get us better internet, but wouldn't spend $10 million to like make sure that a whole city or some town somewhere, it doesn't have to be in Africa, has sustainable free energy forever. But they have billions for something else, right? You have billions for data centers, but you don't have, you know, the time or the interest or the money to just give something for free, something that will actually
Look, here's something
liberate
else
people.
about that,
I don't know.
right?
Yeah.
No, it's just, I don't know, this I've been going back and forth about this whole billionaire thing, the billionaire class.
Yeah.
And
Stick it to him, Mikey.
no, it's, I think I think we have this idea that, and I might have even had this issue before until I've sort of had this like realizations now, where we think of these billionaires as if they're supposed to be like some type of gods or something. Oh, you achieved the impossible. So you're like, somehow or another, you, I don't know, it's or this genius mind who's figured out the impossible, and you're the superhero. And so you're supposed to now come down from your uh,
From Mount
multi-million
Olympus.
dollar house and help us and set things up for us. And I think that might be like, it might be like skewed thinking.
I don't
I think
think
that
I
these people are just capitalized on one of those ideas that came through to them, and everything fell into place. And so it's like some normal dude who's very wealthy, and then now he's being asked to do things, but maybe in his head he's like, no, but why don't you do what I did?
that's
I'm not changed now into some person who is this leader of the world now just because I've got zeros in my bank account.
but you see, that's, and we've spoken about this as well. Look, first of all, they don't necessarily owe us anything in that sense. There's a lot of people walking around with a chip on their shoulders who feel like they owe us something. Sometimes they do, because we as governments, so governments are the people, have subsidized whatever it is that they were doing or have been doing or even are doing, right? Um, for them to become that wealthy. I mean, relies heavily on US government subsidies and contracts, which means that it's the money of the people, the US people, that is being funneled to champion this business to be what it is. Without government contracts, without heavy government subsidies, SpaceX would not be here today. First of all, this is a fact. But what I think is more than that is that people are incredulous. So they are shocked, disgusted by the fact that Someone has so much, more than they could actually spend in a lifetime. And they could be investing in things that will make them rich and build up communities and nations. And they choose not to. They choose rather to spend on vanity projects. So you could be, for example, we spoke about this. If Elon knows that he needs SpaceX, he knows that Tesla is heavily reliant on batteries. Okay, cool. He knows these batteries require rare earths and minerals. Cool. He knows that there's an abundance of these rare earths and minerals in the Congo, for example. All things held constant, ceteris paribus. This means that if he wanted to, he could go into Congo, he could speak to the right people, arrange them together, pull them together, pay off the right people, and then set up a mining operation with proper mining equipment, health and safety, good employment, contracts, and get all those minerals that he needs in a way that actually builds up communities in the Congo and still use that to become extraordinarily wealthy. But that's not what he wants to do. You get it? There's the route. You can choose the way that makes you richer and empowers others. But you don't want that. You're only interested in the way that will very narrowly make you richer. And that's what's so shocking. And even in the past, we've never seen something so selfish. I mean, Rockefeller and all these people, for Henry Ford and General Electric, these guys, they would build colleges. They would say, look, we need more people who can actually, who are qualified to actually set up telephone poles. So the Bell Company, what do? They set up a college and they train thousands of people who are now qualified to lay or set up this telephone infrastructure. So you're making money and you're making money for other people and you're giving them education, you're giving them skills. It's a win-win. Same thing with Henry Ford, same thing with Rockefeller. So people have this mind of like, yeah, I have a lot of power and wealth, but I can't take it with me once I'm dead. And I can choose the path that will also uplift my fellow man. But in today's billionaire class, that thinking is gone. Right? The thinking is gone. You don't have to just give the money away. You can
Look,
invest.
I do get what you're saying.
That's the thing. The consciousness, the humanity is lacking. It's lacking. And I feel pity for those people. I'm not even angry. I feel genuine pity for those people. For those billionaires. I feel pity for them because I would not want to be caught in that mindset. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that you should give out $100,000 to everyone who comes knocking on your door. No, that's absurd. It's stupid. But you definitely can find ways to build yourself and build your communities, build your countries. They don't want that.
That's not what I'm saying, dude. What I'm saying.
Okay, explain more what you're saying. Maybe you don't even know what you're saying.
You're making a point in terms of what is, basically the. I'm just being distracted in the background.
Try to focus, man.
No, what I'm basically trying to say is that on paper, yes, what you're saying makes sense and it's what everybody should strive to do. But if they're not passionate about that, if they don't hold those values, why all of a sudden would they want to do that?
But why don't they have those
whether you
values?
agree with it or
Is that not a failure of our society? Is it not a failure of our
No, but it's
society?
just. But here's the thing: it's coming from the standpoint of, oh, we as other people will never be able to get that money, so we're not going to try to even do that. We're going to look to you now because you managed to figure it out. So now you must come do this now, and
Mikey,
we're not gonna take no for an answer.
Mikey,
And I think that's.
I just told you it
I'm
can't.
not
It's
sure if I agree with that, because
but
why are you saying now that just because Rockefeller did it, and they also did some atrocious things,
yeah, of course,
where
no
they
one's
gunned
perfect.
down a bunch of people who were protesting the steel mills, allegedly, in my opinion. But especially with the whole Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and stuff, there's this idea that they need to do more. And I'm not sure, especially when you're talking about in terms of, and this is where it goes a little bit kooky, but in terms of energy and quantum physics and
Let's leave
understanding
quantum
things
physics out of this. Okay.
from that perspective, they're not doing anything. Anyways, I don't want to.
Bro,
It's just
it,
I've been pondering on it more and more
the
lately,
thing is this, Mikey.
because there's just so many people who are crying and seething over like Elon and these guys, and I wonder sometimes if it's not just another coping mechanism.
For
That's all I'm
many,
saying. I wonder if
for
it's not a coping
you're
mechanism.
right. For many, it is a coping mechanism, right? I mean, there's an issue, right? Um, the company, your workplace has done something wrong, and suddenly it's all their fault. Even the fact that your wife left you, it's their fault. No, I'm not talking about that. Don't heap up all the world's problems on their shoulders. And you're saying another point you made was, well, why don't we just do it for ourselves? Listen, not everyone needs to be a billionaire. Not everyone
No, but
needs
no one is
to.
saying a billionaire.
Okay, not
Just
everyone.
get yourself financially free at least. Even if that's just a small mom and pop shop that has you having like a better lifestyle, and you can help out in your community if that's what you want.
Remember something. Remember something. I don't know how much you know about economics, macroeconomics, or monetary policy, but remember something. The money supply. First of all, money is fugazi. It's not real. Okay, it's just a piece of paper. It's fun tokens.
How dare you?
And actually, a lot of people will be liberated if they realize that money is just fun tokens. Um, it it's regulated, meaning that you can only so much is printed. Every day, money is being destroyed, and new money is being printed. The amount of money that is being printed more, so above and beyond what is being destroyed because it's old or tattered or whatever, or outdated, that's the money growth supply. Maybe it's 1%, 2%, right? That means there literally is only so much moolah, cash, money that is in circulation. So you can be wealthy in terms of, if you are considering your wealth in terms of you have your own farm, your own sheep, cows, that can be infinite. Technically, right? It can be the only limiting factor can be how much food you can grow for your animals or how big your land is. But money is a limited supply, which means that when you have few people with all these fun tokens, it actually does literally mean someone else cannot have it. Do you understand that? Like the central banks of the world print money. There's only so many Chinese yuan yuan. There's only so many American dollars. There's only so many euros that are being printed and that are in circulation. And if you have certain individuals who actually have trillions, it does literally mean someone else cannot have it. Do you understand that? It's a physical
But
limitation.
it's such a
Don't
honestly,
it's
I'm gonna
not
push
it,
back and say
dude.
that's such a limiting belief
What do you mean it's a
that you're looking
belief?
in.
That's Mikey.
No, because
What
think about how much money is in the world. How many
Mikey?
trillions is in the world?
How many
No,
billions
just
are in the
answer the
world? How
question.
many billions are in the world,
How,
Mikey?
no, how many trillions
How many billion
are in the
people are in the
world?
world? How many billion people are in the world? Tell me. Do you know?
It's like 9 billion or something
It's
these
like
days.
8 billion. So what I'm talking to you about, I'm not talking about a that's why I told you. That's why I told you. If you want to talk about the metaphysical sense, sure, right? If you're talking about how much food I have, how much clothing I have, that can technically be much more unlimited. But if you're talking about actual money, remember, you can't go to your taxman and say, I would like to pay you in cottage cheese that I made at home. It doesn't matter. You can show up there and say, this is $100,000 worth of cottage cheese. He tells you, no, I don't want that. I want money, which means that you have to go to the marketplace and you have to get the money. Do you understand? It's not a limiting thought. It's a physical reality. There is a limited amount of money that is being printed. Do you understand that? Do you understand
Yeah,
them?
but money is also digital. So like
Yes, but you're not a bank.
people are
Only a bank can do that. Only a bank can take $1 million and then turn it into digital currency, and suddenly it becomes through the deposit system can suddenly say we've got 100 million on the books. Only a bank is allowed to do that. If you try to do that, dude, police shows up, FBI shows up, and is like, "Hello, cook, cook, cook. We heard you're trying to do this thing here," and then you're like, "Yeah, but it's a limiting belief." You go straight to jail, brother. Straight to jail. They
dude,
tell you
you
we never.
obviously you completely misconstruing what I'm saying. And
No, but you are
like
not
especially
trying to.
after our conversation last week,
No, but you're
I
not
would think
trying
that
to.
maybe
Yeah,
you even
Mikey,
had a better understanding of what I'm saying.
Mikey,
But
Mikey.
wait, let
What
me
I'm
speak
saying
because
is,
you went on about
but
a
you're
bunch
not
of stuff now.
understanding. Try to at least show me that you understand what I'm saying about money being
I know
printed.
what you're saying, but
Okay.
what am I supposed to say? Yes, I
No,
agree with
no.
that
I'm just
part.
trying to make sure you
I'm trying
understand.
to now go a step further with it.
Mm-hmm.
I get what you're saying. There's only so many notes. So there's only so many people who could be there's only so many people where that could be shared between. That's
Yes.
what you're trying to say.
Yes.
Which is like this whole idea of anyways, let's leave that for
Mikey,
now.
let's say this. Let's say this. Let me put
What
this.
I'm
Let's
trying
say there's a
what
lake.
I'm trying
Let's say
no,
there's a lake. Let's
dude,
say there's a
we
lake.
get it. Everybody gets it.
No, but you're not
Okay?
getting it because
Everybody gets it.
you're trying to say it's got something to do with belief. What I'm saying is that
No,
if
I don't.
okay, okay. Say what you're
That's the
saying.
whole thing. Like you just
Okay.
I said limiting belief and it struck a nerve and now all of a sudden you're like,
No.
I don't have limiting beliefs. Like that's not what
No.
I'm trying to even
Okay.
say.
Say it. Say what you're saying.
Yeah, I will if you let me just speak.
Yes.
So this is what I'm trying to say.
Uh,
If you would let me. And I'm trying to lower my cortisol here because I'm not trying to have a cortisol spike this early. Basically, if we look at the model that we spoke about last week, that you agree with, that I agree with,
just
that there could be something in the fact that there's only one being, one intelligence, everybody else is you pushed out. Basing it off of that, it would mean that there's more than enough money for you as that individual who's playing that game. It would just come down to the idea, the execution, and everything else will take place. The idea that you're talking about the person who's 100 cars away, the background person, and then saying they're not going to have a billion is like, wait, what are we talking about here?
Continue. I want to
That's
say
what I'm
something.
basing it off of.
What I will
So
say is this. What I will say is this. The physical reality is that we have enough for everyone. And that's where I agree with you. We are all one. And the physical reality is actually there's more than enough. The fact that you don't have the 100 rand for your groceries, it's not real. In fact, there is enough food for everyone. The fact that, like, oh, we don't have enough food for the people on the streets, it's not true. There's enough food. There's enough food, there's enough sunlight, there's enough water, there's enough electricity, there's enough
Okay,
clothing.
skip the sales pitch.
No, I'm not. It's not a sales pitch. What I'm telling you is that this is what I'm talking about. We are sick. I am sick. You are sick in the mind because we're living in this self made state of deprivation when in fact everything is there. It's literally like we're sitting it's like literally there's a lake, a river flowing, a fat river of pure clean water. And you're there with your bucket and you're like, oh, let me get some water so I can drink. And as you're about to dip your bucket into the water, someone comes to you with guns and physical force and is like, whoa, 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 whoa. You can only get water from the tap over there. And it's like, okay, but I see the river is like flowing right here. Why can't I just take my bucket and then I just get my water and I go, no, you're not allowed to. You have to get it from the tap. So you're like, okay, fine, I'll go to the tap. You go to the tap, and then someone tells you, I need 100 beads. And you're like, 100 beads for what? Can I just get my water and go? That's what I'm talking about. You see, that's the problem, is that even though, and that's what I think I'm trying to get to, is that we have people with so much, and even though they have so much, they cannot allow you to have as well. And the question is why? Because there actually is enough for everyone to have everything that they need. Why is it that a company, those board directors are millionaires and billionaires, but they feel the need to come to you in the deepest parts of Africa and then tell you, you can't grow this sorghum grain because I've patented it? What? What do you mean? You mean the seed that my great grandfather gave me and his great great grandfather gave to him, and now I'm not allowed to plant it in the ground and eat from that? And they're like, yeah, you can't. Because I have a piece of paper and it's sitting in some office somewhere in America, and by that right, you're not allowed to access that which God has given you. And that's the state of depravity. You understand? I mean, every day you're seeing truckloads of food coming out of grocery stores. It's spoiling in the grocery stores. It's rotting there. No one wants it for whatever reason. But just outside, there's a dude. He's dying of hunger. You have clothes that have never been sold. They get shredded, right? Shredded and sent to dumpster heaps. But there's kids that are barefoot and they can't clothe themselves. It's a sickness. We are sick as
Okay,
a
so here's a
society.
question on that. What what are you going to do about it? Like you as an individual.
Well, I've got an AK-47, about 1,000 rounds. I'm just gonna go into the next board meeting
Okay,
and start
this is
shooting.
obviously a joke.
It's a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke.
No,
Please.
don't even make those jokes.
Okay, okay. Um,
It's no. What
obviously
are you gonna
my
do about it? And I don't mean you as in personally. Maybe you've got ideas and stuff. I'm not saying that.
yes.
I'm saying you as an individual generally. What are you gonna do about that? And we can just tie it straight back into
What I
Madam
personally am gonna
CJ
do?
Walker, where you're dealing with an absolutely impossible situation, right?
Mm.
America, 1800s
Not
to
necessarily
the
the.
early 1900s.
Yeah.
What?
I'm saying not the best, necessarily the best place for a black woman, right?
No,
Like at the time.
100%. And then she does that. But we in 2026 are going to sit and talk about all the reasons why you can't do it. That's what I'm talking about,
I'm not saying you can't
limiting
do it.
beliefs.
I'm not saying you can't do it. What I'm saying is,
The
first
thing
of
is,
all,
let's go protest with
no.
"We shall overcome."
The
Let's
protests,
rather go do that
the protests will
instead
do.
of.
The protests will do very little to nothing. First of all, there are many people as well who do actually do a lot. So they lift themselves, like Madam CJ Walker, she did herself, right? She lifted herself up out of poverty, and she could have chosen any business model, but she chose to do it in a way that also empowered black women to make money, right? So she gets to be a millionaire, but she also gives ordinary black women the opportunity to earn a decent income. With that income, buy a
Well,
house.
who else is she going to work with? Do you really think white women are going to be
She
like,
could have
oh, this
gone.
nappy head
No, no,
girl
no,
really has a great idea? Like,
no. She could have, but
no.
she could have obviously.
That was her only workforce, if you're
Listen,
really thinking
listen,
about it.
listen, listen,
And she could only take
Mikey. You're
people who
going,
were free.
you're going on a tangent. It was slavery was already abolished at the time. A. B, she could have just gone through grocery stores or like stores, but she didn't, right? She chose that model. Maybe in the beginning it was her only option, but at some point she could have easily said, now I'm going to do it in stores or something. But my point being,
You forgetting that what you read
you're
was
arguing
only.
details.
No, I'm saying her comeuppance was in the 1800s.
1900s, yeah.
That was when she died. Yeah, when she died, it was in 1919 or
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
1919, something like that. The company she started was in 1905. But before that, she was hustling it herself before she had the workforce.
yes,
So what I'm saying is it was devastating to try work in that type of environment for
yes.
her, but yet she did it anyways. So it's just, I don't know, man.
What
Either
I'm
you get
saying,
what I'm
no,
saying or you don't get what I'm saying, or
what
you
I'm,
want to be right and then I'll give it to
no.
you.
Right about what? What is the point?
No, I'm saying this is a discussion. It's not like you need to understand my point so that I can feel better about
But it's
everything I've just
not
said.
about, I'm not trying to, listen, the whole point of discussion is to try and enlighten one another. What I'm trying to get to you is this. What I would do, what I am going to do is I'm going to lift, first of all, I'm going to get myself free, which means getting myself off the salary teat. And once I have my own system by which I can get myself off the teat, is two other things I can do. What this thing screen. One, create a good, healthy employment situation for my employees. So being the boss that I would have wished to have had myself. Steady salary, good employment opportunities, opportunity to build yourself up, to become a leader as well, right? And then to try and, for lack of a better way to put it, take as many people with me on this liberation journey. So, not just looking towards someone like Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos or Larry Page to do it for me, but to be the example myself. And there are many people, even like your David Guyam, they do that. And it's beautiful and it works. You know, I have many personal experiences as well with people who were struggling financially as real estate agents. Then they get into their groove. They become multimillionaires as real estate agents. And what do? They share. They find people who are hardworking, but they have a problem getting to work. And they give them like the old car, the old Mazda that they don't need anymore. Yeah, sure, they could have sold the old Mazda for what is basically just pennies to them. But they decide, I'm going to give it to this person so that that person can have that old rickety vehicle, but at least they can get to work every day and they can drop their kids
So
off to
are you
school.
saying that these guys that you spoke about haven't done those types of things in their
No,
personal life
no.
that didn't make a news headline?
Say that again. Say that again.
Well, you're already saying no,
No, no.
so
Say it
it's like
again.
you
Say
already
it
made your
again. I
decision.
want to
I'm
understand.
saying what you just said, right? Helping someone out that you can see is like a hard worker and not give them the old Mazda. Are you saying that these billionaires haven't done that in their own personal life
No, you
for
haven't.
certain people who needed it? You don't know. How
I
do you
do.
like?
I do. Hold
How
on.
do you
I'll
know?
tell
Are you
you.
following these people?
Don't get
You
upset.
only looking at it like, oh, they didn't create this business in
No,
Congo with
don't get
cobalt
upset.
mines.
That was an example. Don't get upset.
I'm not
We
getting upset. This is what,
you're
for those who
literally
don't
getting
know, I
triggered.
was asked to elevate my performance in the podcast because I was a little bit reserved. Now that I'm being,
Look at this guy
now
getting
that
triggered.
the
Look
lion
at
is out,
this
all of
guy
a
getting
sudden,
triggered.
calm down. Like,
Listen,
come on.
brother.
Anyways,
We all
this
know.
is are you not entertained?
Do you want me to
Um,
get? You want me to answer your question or not?
no, you already said no.
Yes.
You
Can I
already
give you an
somehow
example?
like
Can I
Mark
give you an example?
Andreessen
Can I give you an
and
example?
Chatma.
Can I give you an
Go
example?
for it.
Your best friend and idol, Musk,
Elon.
Elon Musk. He literally dismantled. He has no reason to do this, by the way. Literally dismantled US aid. Do you want me to Google for you how many people have died in the year 2025 to 2026 because of the cuts that US aid has made?
Look, we don't need to go
Millions.
into those
No,
types
we
of
do
details.
because think about it.
Wait,
This guy,
you said what? Billions?
no,
You
no,
just said
no,
now, and this is being
millions,
recorded.
millions,
You
not
just said
billions.
billions of people have died. You
Mikey, you're
literally
lying.
said
I
that.
just said millions. I just said millions.
Okay,
Look,
well, we at least we
look.
have the recording.
No, yeah, it's in the recordings. Okay, let me show you. How many?
No, but we know about the USA thing, but the reason it's not just one side. Why are you making it sound like he came in and he just shut these things down
He did,
when there was so much fraud that was happening as well?
Mikey. So it's
And
only
the
corruption if
amount
I'm not a
of
part of it. Like what? How much corruption is there? How much corruption is there in arms deals? How much
no, but
corruption?
you making it seem like it's this one side
It is.
when there's like when they actually went in and they saw that there was funds being given to people who were like 180 years old. People were still on like
But that's got
social
nothing to do with
security being
US
paid.
aid. That's social security fraud.
Dude, it was all mixed in there.
No. No, US aid is not social
Like you haven't
security
actually
fraud.
seen it. You're just talking about what some headline said.
No,
But a lot of this has been discussed on many different podcasts already
dude,
about how they were giving
dude.
like hundreds of millions of dollars to
Okay,
transgender
first of all,
dog research.
podcasts,
Oh
podcasts.
my
You should
gosh! Now
also
all of
listen
us, you
to.
see how you just like, I won't say moving the goalpost, but now all of a sudden everything I say has like some type of negative to it. Oh no,
Listen,
but you're talking about
let's
podcasts.
let's read let's read this
I'm
first.
talking about
Let's read.
actual information. that
Yeah,
you
okay.
aren't privy to,
Okay.
and now you're looking a bit silly.
But the podcasts have information to that, access
No,
to that
we're
information.
talking about people researching online like you can do
Yes.
and showing
And
it to everybody.
yes. And have you ever watched auditors who have actually commented on the spreadsheets and the SQLs that Elon Musk has shared, literally saying that this guy's even he's even querying the database wrong. So the guy is writing some bullshit query and is like, oh, you see, this is the result, and saying this is how many, and people are like, dude, that's not even how it works. There's
And
people
of
who've said
course,
that.
for somehow you making it seem like he's the guy on the in the trenches. He's the guy actually doing
Okay.
these queries and stuff.
Let
When
me.
it's teams of people who are doing these things.
Are those people qualified? I'm asking you.
He's just
Are they
funding
qualified?
the whole thing.
Are these people qualified?
How should I know?
Okay, let's
Like
figure out.
why?
Let's get a resume, just one resume.
But no, what
Um,
I'm saying is this: you have a guy who's just his face is plastered onto Doge or whatever it is, and now you're saying this guy isn't giving um not querying the data set or whatever you said correctly when you know it's not him. There's a team of people who are working at it, but you don't know those people's names, so you're just
no,
gonna go
there's.
to the easy target.
Let's see who led Doge. Okay, then.
Oh my gosh, we
Well,
know who led Doge. That's literally the question you're asking when I just said it's a team of people who are working it.
okay, I don't want to trigger you, my friend. I know it's very
Your hate
disheartening.
for Elon is
It's
is
not.
very
It's
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 palpable.
it's not a
Because when we
hate.
started talking about it, you immediately said SpaceX, and I was actually hoping that you would bring up something else. For one time in the
What do you
history
mean?
of our talks, you would bring
What
up
in what regard did I bring up
some other
SpaceX?
billionaire or something.
The,
Your
Maggie,
example in the very beginning when this started, if you go back to it, you'll hear the first example you said was SpaceX, where it
with regard to
wasn't
what?
related to that at all.
What with regard to
When we
what?
started talking about billionaires.
Ah, why did I mention SpaceX? Do you remember why?
No, because you were giving an example of how there's certain companies who aren't paving the way through for other
No,
people.
that's not
And
it.
then
I
your
said
example was
there are
SpaceX.
there are companies that are that are only able to exist because of subsidies from the government. And government money is the people's money. So when the government subsidizes something like SpaceX, what it means is that the people of the US, with their taxes and their contributions, are funding SpaceX, right? There is no separate
Okay, but
apparatus
is
called the
SpaceX the
government.
only company? That
No,
was my
it's
point.
not. But I'm using an example that everyone can understand and see. So it's not the reason I keep bringing up Elon is because it's a visual. Obviously, I'm not going to talk about some obscure dude somewhere in Luxembourg who no one
Because you
knows.
have some obsession with Elon. You hate
Maggie,
him.
Maggie, if we'd had this podcast 20 years ago, I would be talking about Bill Gates, right?
You
Bill
say
Gates,
that.
yeah, of course I would. I've said that before. I mean,
You
Bill
always
Gates
say that,
himself.
but I
Listen,
don't know how true it is.
listen. Okay,
It's like you
just
have
to.
this it's like rage towards Elon Musk, who's just
No,
some random
I told you
rich guy.
it's because it's a common example. You can also take Bill Gates. Bill Gates is also one of the people who has
I want to go to the
pioneered.
wildest party.
Listen, Bill Gates is also one of these people. He has literally he has literally he's one of these guys who has tried to spearhead this agenda of basically making it illegal for farmers in places like India to use their own heirloom seeds, right? He pushes the agenda of, oh, you've got to use these standardized GMO seeds, right? But these GMO seeds, they produce no seeds. So it's a dead crop. It can only produce the food, and then the farmer cannot take that seed and replant it. The farmer now
Yeah,
becomes
because he has to
dependent.
keep purchasing from them to get the
Bingo!
seed.
So there's another prick. So you see, it's not
But
just
here's what I'm
Elon.
saying. This guy is like almost actively evil. We know about the stuff about the COVID. There will be no normalcy without everybody taking the jab. Right?
I like that impersonation. That's a good one. That's pretty
Yeah,
good.
I've been
That's pretty
practicing.
good. Bravo.
So
Bravo.
what I'm saying is that here's a guy who's like actually like a villain,
Yes.
allegedly, in my opinion, theoretically, but you never bring him up.
Because he's
You never
not
bring
as
him up.
he's
Like a
not.
guy who's actually
Mikey, I'm
trying
sorry I
to.
offended your idol. I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry.
It's not my
Like,
idol. It's just
he's
it's
clearly
like
your
I like to
idol.
troll on that end of it.
No, but let me share this with you so that you can also have a
He
bit
got
of
beaten up because he wouldn't beat up a black child
like let me share this with
in
you.
South Africa.
Let me share this with you. Recent modeling published in The Lancet and reviewed by CIDRAP estimates that severe defunding of US aid could cause between 9.4 million and 22.6 million avoidable deaths globally by 2030. This total includes an estimated 2.5 million to 5.4 million deaths among children under 5. Now, this has a severe thing. Now, my point is this. If you want to have your money and do your own thing, that's up to you. But what I don't understand is why do you wake up, go out of your way to disrupt something? You know, there's an old saying, even in the military, lead, follow, or get out of the way. And in ancient China, they also had a saying, it's like, if you don't want to help,
Wei Shangxing.
then get out of the way. So what I'm trying to say is, why would someone who's got everything they could need wake up and say to themselves, I'm going to go stop those guys from doing that? Why? I mean, it makes no sense. I mean,
Okay,
if you
here's
don't
something because I know
care,
you don't like to research what I
okay, I'll research it
want to
for you.
push
I'll
back
research
on,
it. Let's
which is basically
Mhm.
what are some of the things
You want me to Google
the
this now? Can I?
fraud?
Okay.
Yes. What is some of the fraud um, that was shut down by Doge, done
Okay.
by US aid,
Okay. What is
and the money that was spent?
some of the fraud? Oh, that's a very long question. What is some of the fraud that was uncovered?
That was actually uncovered, shut down by, Doge or whatever.
By Doge.
And then you actually have
Hold on.
some people saying,
Okay, let's
no,
hear.
this is fine.
Let's
There's supposed to be some fraud.
Okay, here. Let's share so that you can also get your points here. Okay. The Department of Government Efficiency did not conduct traditional criminal investigations, but instead focused on identifying and addressing improper payments, systemic bloat, and waste. Their findings, which were met with some controversy and legal pushback over definitions and methodology. So there was pushback on definitions and methodology, included outdated beneficiary records. An initial review of unemployment data claimed that thousands of payments were made to individuals who were deceased, far too young to work, or born in the future, prompting for database verification. Improper agency payments. Citing US Government Accountability Office and executive reports, Doge identified hundreds of billions in general improper payments, overbilling, and inaccurate record keeping across programs like Medicare/Medicaid, bureaucratic waste, and specific programs. The task force flagged $80 million in Department of Defense spending, including millions allocated to holistic DEI and democracy building programs, which the administration classified as fraudulent and abusive. Recovered funds, working alongside the Department of Housing and Urban Development, Doge's internal task force assisted in auditing and recovering $1.9 billion in misplaced taxpayer dollars that were returned to the US Treasury. Now, I want to do one last thing here, if I can. I want to say,
No, but let's
uncovered by
quickly
Doge,
discuss it.
that has
So what I'm
been
saying
verified. I just want to add that.
Oh my god.
No, I just want to verify.
Basically,
because,
what I'm saying is that
yeah,
if you
hold on.
only say everything you said prior, but you don't mention all those things you just mentioned now,
All I
then
said
it
is
can
verified.
seem disingenuous.
All I said is verified. I just literally, that has been verified, because what it did right now, it gave us the claims. So now let's see what's been verified. So,
But you didn't ask for verification on the stuff that you were saying initially about, you know, the people who were died and all that type of
I'll
stuff.
do that gladly. I have no problem doing that. We can do it right now.
But do you see what I'm saying?
No,
you
but we
wanna
can do
you wanna
it.
verify it now.
Okay, let's
But
verify it now.
before you
Okay.
didn't want to
No,
verify
I
that
definitely.
billions actually is what you said,
Uh,
but millions of people who died.
Yeah, what is the verifiable impact of US aid cuts on, let's say, deaths? Okay, I've got the answers here. Right. So we'll go to that just now. First, let's tackle this one. So researchers, oh man, okay, we'll go to, wait, let me get to the other one first. Okay. While Doge, the Department of Government Efficiency, published lists of targeted programs and contract terminations, official government watchdogs and independent fact checkers have found no evidence linking these specific cuts to verified cases of fraud. Instead of verifying fraud, the work of Doge has faced scrutiny for several reasons. Exaggerated savings claims. Independent analyses by outlets like NPR found that billions in claimed savings on Doge's quote-unquote wall of receipts were overstated, miscalculated, or represented previously approved spending rather than fraudulent fund. So it was previously approved. Misidentified social security data. Doge claimed to have found millions of dead individuals collecting federal paychecks and social security benefits. However, official reviews revealed these were inactive entries in all the administrative records, and almost none of them were actively receiving payments, which means not your friend, but his team did not.
And look, we're trusting NPR, by the way. Let's just keep that in mind.
You want me to find out who NPR is?
No. Like, NPR clearly has an agenda. But anyways,
because they don't want to suck his Johnson or what?
No, because NPR has been problematic for quite some time, according to some.
Who's NPR?
NPR is the media outlet.
What? Okay. Anyway, let me finish, then we do that. Misuse of sensitive information. The Department of Justice and the Social Security Administration confirmed that certain Doge employees improperly accessed, shared, and misused sensitive data. Federal investigations were launched to determine whether this team violated privacy laws and circumvented federal court orders by using Social Security data to fuel outside political narratives. While genuine fraud certainly occurs within the federal government, typically tracked and prosecuted by long-standing inspectors general offices, independent audits indicate that Doge's publicized claims generally reflect policy changes and cancelled grants rather than proven cases of criminal fraud. So there's a bit of salt we have to add to our.
This is he said, she said, and
Of
all
course,
of a sudden we're doing a political
it's
podcast.
all he said, she said. It's all of it. Now
The
let's go
political
back
growth.
to what is the verifiable impact of U.S. aid cuts on deaths. Researchers estimate that abrupt U.S. aid cuts caused over 762,000 premature deaths in their first year. Forecasting models project that continued. So we're already talking about 762,000 already. And now forecasting models project that continued funding contractions could result in 9.4 million to 22.6 million avoidable deaths in low and middle income countries by 2030, including over 4 million pediatric deaths. That's deaths in children. Now, documented impacts on mortality. The verifiable impact of US aid cuts is concentrated in the sudden withdrawal of health infrastructure and preventative care, forcing vulnerable populations into conditions with no compensatory substitute. Infectious diseases, HIV/AIDS, interruptions to PEPFAR, President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief funding, have resulted in clinic closures, cutting patients off from antiretroviral therapy. Impact counter models estimate this disruption directly caused over 158,000 adult deaths from HIV-related illnesses, malaria and TB. The funding has led to halted distribution of insecticide-treated bed nets and essential treatments, driving up mortality in sub-Saharan Africa. Maternal and child health. Child mortality, discontinued
get the
nutritional
point. We
support,
don't need
water
to do the
purification
whole-
tablets, and pediatric care are projected to cause millions of excess deaths in children under 5. Okay. It doesn't really interest you. I get it.
No, it's not that it doesn't interest me. I'm saying that I'm trying to figure out how this US aid is somehow while getting rid of the fraud is somehow leading to deaths.
No,
When
but
the
it's not
fraud is
fraud.
in
It's just
those specific areas of social security.
yeah, it's not linked. It's not
payments.
linked. That's my point. You see, to search and look for payments for social security fraud where people are not supposed to get payments, that's one thing. But that's not what they're doing with US aid. With US aid, they just cut funding. And Elon Musk pioneered that. And my whole thing is, why are you looking for that? Like, there's a whole room of big bullies, right? He could have gone into lobbyist fraud. He could have gone into all of that. But he leaves all the biggest guys in the room and he goes to the homeless dude on the floor and he kicks him in the teeth and is like, yeah, I showed you. Why?
Look, that's
Why?
allegedly, in your opinion.
No, but why do you pick the weakest dude and kick him in the teeth? Why not tackle lobbyist frauds? Why not
So
tackle...
why do you? So when he gets hired for the job, it's first of all it's the administration, right? So that's where you would start, because they're the ones who are gonna have the meeting and they're gonna say, "Look, we want you to come in here and do whatever you're doing," and yeah, I'm gonna look into this US aid thing, or give me the jurisdiction to look into this or that or wherever. It's not like he just goes in and says, those are the culprits over there, I'm going after them. And then these people are like, okay, Elon, like, we get it. You're gonna do your thing.
Well, check something.
So it's the administration would have to actually give him the permission. But yeah, once again, it's gone political. The biggest load of corruption you could possibly get,
Is what?
like walking in the mud and then expecting not to tread dirt.
Look, man, my whole thing. I think
This
we're
is
not
why you
gonna.
have so many political
I
grifters,
think I
because
think
there's
I think
so much
honestly,
there.
I honestly think that if I had spoken about Peter Thiel, Bill Gates, Larry Page, even the guy
No,
from
this is
Oracle,
rubbish.
you would not have had a problem. But I made the
But
mistake
you don't speak about them. You don't. That's the thing. It's like you have amnesia in terms of how many times. And remember, yes, we only on like 13 episodes, but we've been speaking like this for years. If you had to count up how many times you've actually mentioned Elon Musk, as opposed to all these guys that you apparently claim you would be speaking about, you would be shocked.
How many times
And
have we
you'd be
spoken
like, oh,
about?
wait, I actually do speak about this dude more than everybody else
But I've
combined.
explained it to you. I've explained it to you. Look, there's why is everyone talking
Can
about?
you
Listen,
admit that you have an issue with Elon Musk? And
Yeah, I
it's
do
not
have an
some
issue with him.
general thing.
No, I do have an issue with
So
people
that's all
like
I'm
Elon.
saying.
Yeah, but it's not
If you
just
have,
Elon. It's not just Elon.
it might not just be them, but specifically, and I'm brought to a memory of, there was one Sunday we had a chat. This wasn't recorded or anything, and you were seething, and you started
Exaggeration.
off, and you
Exaggeration.
were literally like, this was probably like 2022, 2023, and I
No,
remember the look in your
2022. I thought
face.
he was. 2022. I still thought he was an awesome dude.
But along those lines, there was a time I remember seeing your face, and I was like, "Whoa!" Like, you're actually quite. Maybe because you spiked my cortisol because I came in onto the call, I was pretty jolly, and I just remember how angry you were about something, and I was like, "What, Elon Musk?" And I was like,
My God.
"Okay,
You're like, my Lord,
no,
my God. Why him?
my God in heaven." No, I'm saying that. And I found it strange
But
because
Mikey,
there
I've
is
said this
no
before.
celebrity or person like
Listen,
that who's going to get me to be that angry about anything.
listen. But I've said it to you before, right? We can talk about the Purdue family and how they've caused the addiction of millions of Americans. But
I mean, the Sackler family.
Sackler
And by
family,
the
yes.
way,
Hold on. Can I finish my thought?
you can say that, but you don't.
But I have.
When?
Mikey, look
And you're
on.
acting like I'm not on the call. You're acting
No,
like
you only
I
get
don't
triggered
have a
by Elon.
memory or mind
You
to
only
be
get,
like, oh yeah, I remember
yeah, but you only
you
get
spoke about
triggered.
the Sackler
You
family or
only
Bill
get
Gates and
triggered.
stuff.
You only get triggered when I talk about Elon. You don't get
No,
triggered
I
by anyone
troll
else.
you when it comes to Elon.
Thank you. At least you're admitting that.
I make sure that when you bring him up, that I come from the other end
Yes.
of the movement, because I know
The
this is
movement.
exactly what it does to you.
Listen,
This is exactly what it does.
listen.
And if I had to say it about Bill Gates or anything else, you wouldn't care, dude.
Of course I would. You think it doesn't piss me off? You think it doesn't piss me off what he was doing? So with like everyone's dude.
There'll be no normalcy.
Yes, dude. That ticked me off. Like it ticked
There's
me off.
literally in your veins, you carry around Bill Gates like you got raped or something.
No, but he's a sick dude. Like that's my whole point. Like I can't get over the fact that
And I mean, he was even in the Joffrey Epstein files.
yeah, I can't get over. And unfortunately, your friend is so uncool. Even the circles of pedophiles that they're like, nah, we don't want that guy around. Like that thing about that for a second. Like everyone, all the weirdest creeps get. But like even he is so weird that the dude is like, nah, this guy looks like he can't keep it together.
We're not actually throwing a party this weekend.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like
we'll let you know. You know what I think about, like, a South Park episode, and it's actually so ridiculous. How they won't even do an episode, and I am sorry if they did do an episode. I just haven't checked South Park in
Yeah, yeah,
years.
yeah.
So that's the first question. Have they done a Jeffrey Epstein episode?
Huh. I wonder. Um,
I know you're a bigger fan of it,
of what?
of South Park.
Oh yeah, bro. I love it. It's just that I don't have access to it now because it's like on. Um.
No. So you have
Okay.
these
Check
guys.
this out. They did. They did. Um. They did. Yeah. I
How?
mean,
When did they do it? Is it the 2018 stuff or this like brand new stuff? Because like most people were talking about like 2018, even the 2008 stuff.
no. Season 27. The July 2025 episode. I think that's about the time of Jeffrey Epstein and all that. Mocked the political controversy surrounding the delayed release of the Epstein list. It featured Satan confronting a cartoon version of Donald Trump, pressing him on why he tells people to relax whenever his name comes up in connection with Epstein's files. I actually want to watch that now. Not gonna lie. So they have done it,
But
yeah.
do they actually talk about Epstein himself? Because it's easy to go to Donald Trump, right? Because he did say it's a hoax. It's all a hoax. I don't want your support.
uh, yeah. Well, I mean, what it
Like,
says here
did
is that
Family Guy do it?
it says the
Like because
season.
Stewie going to the island would have been such a. I mean, it's perfect.
The season 28 finale in December 2025 finale. The show took the parody a step further, so they did it twice, right? Season 27 premiere and then this season 28 finale. The show took the parody a step further by directly mirroring Epstein's prison death. I want to see this episode because like the accidental, like, oh, we just happen to not have a recording.
Yeah, and then the
The
guy
god
falling
happens to
asleep.
be
Yeah,
when Trump and Satan are expecting a demonic baby. Remember they did this with Saddam Hussein as well, kind of like that. He had a relationship
yeah,
with
yeah.
um are expecting a demonic baby. A doctor reveals that the unborn baby took its own life in the womb while no one was watching. The doctor notes that the baby used bed sheets and that portions of the ultrasound footage mysteriously went missing, serving as a dark satirical take on Epstein's suicide in a Brooklyn lockup. Mm, yeah.
But you see, so that to me is still not. It's like, oh, we have to kind of show that, you know, we're still up to date with things, but they've gone way harder for much less in the past.
I think it's
Whether
about
it's like
how
Tom Cruise or anything. No, because their overlords told them, you're not going to make, you're not going to bring this to light.
no, I think it also has something to do
Because
with
they would have literally had Pedo Island. They would
yeah,
have
but I
had all
think
those guys, all those billionaires, and they would have made fun of that. That's like the old South Park. Those are like, that's the humor they bring, not like innuendos and stuff.
well, first of all, we haven't seen the episode, so we don't know how hard they went on
Well,
it.
you just explained.
Yeah, but
It's
remember
more
this
about
is an
Donald Trump, and
no.
it's more about this, metaphorical thing about the baby. That's all we really need to know. That they
Remember, it's
didn't
an
do anything
AI
about the
answer.
island.
It's an AI answer, so it's
But
not
don't you
gonna.
think they would have said that they depicted Epstein on the
Okay,
island?
let me
Anyways, my
search it.
point being
Yeah.
about the Elon thing is that
Mm-mm.
that would have been the funny part where it's kind of like awkward outside and you hear like a party going on and then Elon is there like, yeah, man. You're the party, man. And then Epstein's like, Elon.
Actually, this is more like a family
I
gathering.
don't know. I don't know how to tell you this, Elon. you know.
Yeah, that would have been funny.
Look, Elon, you're a good goy, but you're not
What?
invited. You know, like uh,
I don't
it's
know.
right there. It would have been funny. It would have even been funny with Family Guy, with like Stewie. You know, um, obviously not to make fun of the things that happened there, but these are these platforms, these shows who are actually the ones who make fun of these things, and you guys aren't saying anything, like anything that goes viral. But if it was about anything else, South Park would have jumped on it. So I'm just saying, uh, to me, I even though without having known what they did, I could already tell they weren't really going to touch on it that much.
Well,
Well, you said Epstein files, but what about the island? You guys would have, those guys are
hold
brilliant. They
up,
would have
hold
come up with
up,
something
hold up,
amazing.
hold up. South Park parodies Jeffrey Epstein's infamous private island in season 27, episode 2, titled Ice, often referred to as the Mar-a-Lago / Fantasy Island episode. In the episode, Mar-a-Lago is satirized as a magical resort, blending imagery of Fantasy Island and Epstein's private island. The plot: school counselor Mr. Mackey travels to the estate and is driven around by a mock version of Donald Trump and a miniature J.D. Vance, both dressed in white suits. The parody: during the tour, Mackey stumbles into various surreal, scandalous rooms, including one where a minor character is receiving a massage from a young Dora the Explorer. So, anyway, I
See,
know it's not
so
what you wanted.
what I'm saying is, what's the biggest theme that you keep noticing throughout the whole
Yeah,
thing?
Donald Trump is in there.
Is like Donald Trump, Mar-a-Lago. It's That's what I'm trying to say here. Is that instead of just outright doing Epstein, they're like really tying it to Donald Trump the whole way through.
I know it upsets you that they're going after your buddy
Oh,
DJ.
you see, once again now it's it upsets you and you're crying about it, but that's just
You
not
can't
true.
even notice that I'm
Um,
trolling you. That's hilarious, bro.
no, it's not that. It's just, of course, you would say that instead of being
Uh,
like, "Oh, that is correct." I don't know why they wouldn't just do him stand alone.
I reserve my comments
And then even have a part in
until
the
I've seen
episode where
it.
like the Fortnite account goes online, right? That would
I
like this is all funny stuff, but
I will reserve my comment until I've seen the episode. Um, I'd love to see the episode. I mean, we've seen how they. You're right. We've seen how they like diss Scientology. They actually, you can't even say they diss Scientology. All they do is say what they actually believe, which is super trippy. Um, the joke basically wrote itself. There's nothing to say. I mean, all they had
yeah,
to.
like, but even stuff like all the people of think about all the material, dude. All the things that were said in the Epstein files with Bill Gates and all these guys who were having like the back and forths and then bringing that together in an episode
But you're right.
would have
Obviously, there's
been
only so many.
amazing, dude.
Obviously, there's only so many people you can take shots at in one go because there's a breaking point. Like at some point, the network is just gonna get a call and like, yo, nah. Like
Dude,
I've got
think about it. They
I've got
made
a
fun
hundred
of all the
millionaires and
gods.
billionaires here, huh? I've got 100 millionaires
Yeah.
and billionaires here. They want to shut you down. So you know, you allude, and you can't blame them for that. I mean, at the end of the day, these guys are producing shows, like it's entertainment. So to put the burden or the onus on them to like expose everyone, it's a bit much. I mean, you
Yeah,
know what I
look, I'm
mean?
not expecting them to do it, but what I will say is it was to be expected. I just didn't think they would go like the Donald Trump route, which is like there's obviously something there in terms of just what has been said and not said. What do you have in common with Ivanka? Sex. I gotta tell you. I'm telling you.
Oh, yeah, it's super creepy, man. Anyway, we got on a. You
Dude,
see how we ended. We. Off with like talking about bro. What did we start talking about? We started talking about there's something I want to say social responsibility or like consciousness, and then we.
a bunch of dribble, if you ask me. But the point being is that what time are we at there? There's something I wanted to discuss, but
Okay, just
maybe
go
I'll
for
just
it, man.
hold on to it.
Let's go for it. We're almost at 3 hours, but
Um,
like whatever. Like we just
okay, yeah, I'll
zoomed.
just
Yeah, go for it.
that actually that was quick, dude. 3 hours, wow.
Because you're
I
boiling,
was just
man. You're
talking
boiling.
about,
You're
but
just
this is like,
furious. Your hair's even like more
I was,
red than usual.
it's the lighting and my sound, guys. Hey, do your job. Anyways, no, I had this like story about intuition, and that's why I'm saying it's such a big topic, which will literally take a half an hour or something. Just basically the story about. I'll just tell the story. Um, we can discuss actual intuition on a different time. I was in college. I was having an amazing day. Everything was like brilliant. I did my monologue because I obviously did performance art, drama. I was just at the top of my game. There was a chick in my class who I was just completely in love with, and we had a great day that day where we even sat down and we had lunch together, and she wasn't being a bitch that day. She was actually being quite nice. And so I'm walking on sunshine, right? Walking on a dream. Um, and I remember traveling back home. I had to take 2 trains, 2 taxis. But I get to, and this is on a Friday, so I get to the terminal of the taxis, and it just hits me in that moment. I was like, let me go to Nguni. Right? I was like, this is brilliant. Like, I can go to your place for the weekend and just go party in this, student town, essentially. And so I message you and I'm like, dude, I'm coming over. And you're like, yeah, I'll see you soon. And I was like, this is good. Like, everything is just so peach and so brilliant. And I walk. Now, at the terminal, uh, there's different types of taxis going to many different places. Some taxis fill up very quick because people are obviously going there. Other taxis take extremely slow because no one is going there. And so I walk, and I get to the taxi, which was always the last one, last terminal, to where you are. I'll just call it Stalis, as because that's its nickname. I should have probably said Marty's, but that's okay. And I get to the taxi. It's this red taxi. It's got this like yellow and black decal on the side. And as I walk up to it, there's the last seat, right? I can literally walk right into the taxi and be directly on my way. Something that never happens. It never happens. You're always waiting there 20 minutes, 30 minutes, sometimes less. And I'm like, this is impossible. So I walk up to the taxi, and immediately I'm just met with this. I don't even know what to call it, but there's this like argument. And it's the driver, and it's like this other fat lady who's like behind him. And the driver's kind of like in and out of his driver's seat, even talking to her by the window because she's by the window seat right behind him. And dude, they are arguing like someone has murdered someone. I don't even know how to explain it. The anger in her voice, the anger in his voice, it's palpable in the just around there. And like I'm taking more and more steps, and this is just happening, and I just stop and I say, you know what? I'm having such a good day. But I also feel it like on my chest over here. It's like, I don't know, it's almost like there was like a barrier as I was trying to walk in forward, and like this barrier was kind of just holding me. And I was just like, you know what? My day has been so perfect that I don't really want to get on this taxi with this whole thing that's happening over here. So I start walking, like literally, I start walking backwards to the little waiting area. And the guy, like, he kind of swears at me under his breath, the gachi, which is just the dude who boards people. I don't even know what you call those guys. The money collector.
Conductor.
And he kind of swears at me because I don't want to get on the taxi. I'm like, nah, I'll wait. And then now, maybe this is just in my memory, but I kind of remember like a chick getting on and she had like a little baby with her. Um, that's like, that's in my memory, but I'm not even sure if that's true. But the person gets on, the door closes, and they drive off. Now you must obviously remember, now you got to wait for this whole taxi to fill up again. That could be 40 minutes even. You know, how many people is going there at 1 o'clock on a Friday? Anyways, so I wait, and I'm like, you know what? I don't care. I was just playing the memory of me and her, like the lunch we had and how we were laughing and stuff, like a real simp. And the taxi finally fills up. I'm like, okay, cool, on my way. And yes, it was like 40 minutes to 45 minutes. Anyways, we're driving now, and we're going. And as we like driving, I just notice all these cars driving past, and they keep flashing their brights. It's like, what are these cars doing? Then there's this massive line, right? Some type of traffic jam, and it's taking forever. Then we're being like rerouted onto gravel road, onto a field. We have to go left down this gravel road and then turn right. So now basically we're going left, right, and then right because we're driving around whatever's happening on the road there. And so as we go left and then we go right. So now everybody's looking that way because like they're looking at the road. Dude, that taxi, the red taxi, is on its roof and it's just crushed like that, dude. Like, people are dead. There's no ways that you, like, dude, there's no ways you would survive that. And that taxi that I skipped was literally on its roof and crushed, dude.
And what people don't understand sometimes is that those combis or taxis, they're packed. People are packed like sardines. It's not like, yeah, you're packed like sardines, like you just said. And of course, they're not like the most stable. First of all, you're overloaded. There's like 16, maybe 18 or 20 people in there, right? Like four
and you
rows.
can feel when they turn how it sways like that because of
Exactly.
the weight.
Yeah. And then added to that, like you said, flipped on the head, it's the worst. I mean, at what speed are you moving that it doesn't just tip on its side? Because I've seen that before, right? I've seen that before where, yeah, I've seen that. I don't want to tell another story, but like I've seen that before where it like tips because, like you said, it's very heavy, so you can feel it steering and it might tip. But to land on its head, like what speed was
So
this
you must
vehicle
obviously
moving?
I honestly think that there was something that happened between the driver and that lady that just they must have just completely flipped out at each other. He was probably going super fast because he was angry. And dude, it's so this is what I'm saying. Like, what was the thing that like told me or held me back to not take that seat?
Your intuition and your guardian angel. It's either intuition or guardian angel. Take your pick, but like,
Dude, and I'm telling you, I could feel, I can still feel it today. How it was. I can only imagine there's like this angel just like standing there, and I know people say, "Oh, that's kooky," but just putting its hand on my chest, like, no,
no. Yeah.
it's so hectic, man.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right, man. And it's important sometimes you
All
have
your
to.
fault as well.
Sometimes you have to listen to your intuition. I remember there was a time, I'm not going to go into all the stories, but another story where in Stellenbosch and you were there, and was your brother also there? I think he was, eh? And
Oh, you
we
mean with the allegedly with the mushrooms?
allegedly, yeah, apparently, just Denny's mushrooms, nothing, just, normal,
That was such a trippy moment,
and
dude.
we were like, yeah, we're ready to go out. And it was like at the door, right? Like as we're about to
At the
go,
gate, there's that gate at the bottom
yes, at the bottom, because it was like a 7-story. I was like living in the penthouse. Well, we called it the penthouse because it's top floor, nice
because it's
views,
at the top. Yeah,
amazing views actually.
the
And
view was
it
that
was
was a
sick.
nice place,
Yeah, yeah,
dude.
it was sick. And
That was better than the house you had afterwards.
yeah, I
Holy
think so
mess.
too. And then suddenly something was off. I mean, we felt it like something
Yeah,
was off. We were just about to go out, and it was a factor of things. Like this, there was something in the wind, and like sirens in
yeah.
the distance, and a very bad feeling. And we just said, I think even what was funny is we were trying to leave, and the door either wouldn't, the gate either wouldn't open or wouldn't close. Like we had to
No,
fight to
we
get out.
we stopped. No, like we stopped down the passage, and the gate was closed, and we just had this like almost like a dread over us, and we were like, I don't think we should go. Like
Yeah,
it just we just stopped dead in our tracks there with this
yeah,
gate that was closed.
yeah. And we're like, nah, we're not gonna go. Like we had a plan in our heads, amazing plan, but we're like, nah, it's not feeling good. And I don't even want to know what was waiting for us. I mean,
No,
Stellenbosch.
but you forgetting what actually happened, dude. So there's the part to the story because we actually did go out. I remember I was covered in lotion. I emptied a whole bottle of lotion over my body, dude. And I was just in the room. Obviously, I wasn't myself. And I remember just being completely covered in like this lotion,
Yeah,
butter. What's it called? You know that buttercream flavor
yeah,
or
shea
smell.
butter, something like that. Yeah,
It might have even been
cocoa
flavor
butter,
because
cocoa
I was
butter. Yeah,
cocoa butter. Yeah. Um, and I even had this T-shirt I put on tight, and I was just like, why did I just smear my whole chest and back full of lotion, dude? Um, so we stood there and we're like, no, we're not gonna go out. There's something bad here. Like the wind outside is just rattling, and then out of nowhere, the gate just flung open. And it opened up in front of us, and we were like, oh my gosh. No one was there. The
yeah,
gate opens, probably because of the wind or whatever. And then we were like, I think we have to go. And we went out and we had a crazy time at Mystics and stuff. It was
yeah.
one of the best times at Mystics. But that gate just opened like that. That was the sign, like, no, you're going.
Mm,
Um, that's
yeah.
actually what happened.
Okay. Yeah, it was crazy. Anyway, Yeah, follow your intuition, guys. Pay attention to that. Your
No, take
subconscious
your 20
mind.
minutes in nature.
What?
Take your 20 minutes in nature, your quiet time, and your intuition will be sharp.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because it's the inner voice. Once you're aligned with that inner voice, um, you know what you really want. There's so much noise. Our minds, we fill it with noise, whether it's social media or even before that, if it's the opinions of others, if it's our own doubts, we just fill our minds with so much clutter. It's difficult to realize what we actually want. And when we just tune in with what we really want, we realize what it is we usually want. It might not be hugging trees for everyone, but for someone like me, for example, it's like, yeah, you know what? I just want to sit here for a moment and be quiet. Or I really don't need that. What I need is this. Whatever it may be, follow your intuition. Open up your heart to yourself, you know. I see a lot of that people don't do that. It's like watching people in prison, in like their own prison, when you see them not listening to their own
A
hearts.
prison for their minds.
No, yeah, exactly. Anyway, brother, we had an amazing chat.
I definitely needed 2 minutes after that.
Yeah, let's do it.
Um,
Oh
but
man,
yeah,
is my
that's
is
it. I'll
is
start off
my
by saying thank you.
my internet
Is your
is
There was
doing
some jiggly bits, I won't lie. Where I was like, "Ooh, is this call gonna last?" But I guess it did in the end.
take us through the 2 minute, brother.
Yeah.
I'm gonna avoid my cameras just doing something funny.
Thank you. Thank you.